Hey, what's up, Scott Balker with Imagination Creation Films, and today, well, it's a little bit different of a day. This is a Wednesday, which, is not my normal live stream, but what this is a Kessler crane tutorial. Well, it's not a Kessler crane, it's a tutorial of the Kessler kOS software live. And this is something I've wanted to do for quite a while now, just to kind of gauge how people learn and what they need to learn. I want to put together the correct tutorial for Kessler with everything all sectioned out and everything, but I want to understand how people, what spots get people stuck and such. So this will be a complete tutorial of the entire kOS operating system or software with some new features for Unreal, which we'll have Chris Fields from BioLapse will be jumping in to demonstrate Unreal. We have, of course, then the man himself, Eric Kessler from Kessler Crane. Would you like to say hello, Eric? I will bring you to the stage.
Hello.
Hello, Eric.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You want to say hello or anything? Just
What's that? I'm sorry.
Did you want to say anything?
Oh, did you not hear me? Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate being here. I'm going to be probably just here at the beginning. I will be monitoring comments. So if anybody has any direct questions for me, ask those in the comments. And then also, Jason Cross, our Rockstar salesman, will be popping in over the next 2 hours randomly with some kind of a guessing question to win a free quick release plate. So I don't know what he'll choose, whether it's a number or guess his weight or something fun, but we're going to give away 3 quick release plates, and then he will choose a person based off the whatever game he's wanting to play, and he'll get that shipped out to you either today or tomorrow. So kOS has been around for going on, I think we've been working on it for well over 10 years. We're going to be revealing some new features today that people have been waiting for on the next release, which should be literally, it's in regression testing right now. So I'm hoping within a week, but finally we have URE integration. According to the people using it that have used other systems, they claim it's way better. So we'll let Chris Field, which has helped out tremendously along with a few other people in tailoring the UI and features that they were wanting for this to be as smooth as possible. We plan on going further with it. Right now, it's a really great working system. At least I don't personally use it that often, so I'm probably a horrible gauge, but according to Chris Field and the others that use motion control with URE, they're saying it's pretty nice, and they already have a wish list of other options and features they hope to have in the future. So provided that we keep hearing from the users that they're wanting more functionality, we'll continue to add that as we go. But I guess we got a really good starting point right now. So pretty excited about that. And I think we made it pretty easy, or at least as easy as it can be for the time being, until URE adapts their software more and more. We'll keep up with the adaptations required.
Very cool. Well, I will let you jump out.
And the new version, Scott, for you, has the ability to drag and drop multiple keyframes. And there's a few other things in the new release that people have asked for. And I'm really excited for the next one, but that we're pretty deep into. But I don't know how much of that we'll talk about today or not. But that'll have some fun stuff in there that I think people will really appreciate.
Very cool. All right, I'm going to drop you out for now, and you want to give away something, just pop back in, or if you just need anything, just let me know.
Okay, so just a quick question from the studio screen that I have. I noticed we have a private chat, and there's also a section for comments. Is that what I should be monitoring?
Yeah, if you want to watch what the people are saying.
Okay.
And for those of you out there, this is very informal. Don't feel like you can't ask a question. Ask the questions, especially if it's something that I'm talking about, ask the question so I can understand, what I'm not explaining right, or where we need more information. And then if it's something that I'm about to explain, I'll just say, just hold 5 minutes, we'll get there. But feel
Scott,
free to ask all your questions. What?
Scott, would it be okay to explain to everyone why we're doing this? Is to, well, so you're going to be working on the full tutorial
Yep.
for kOS, and we wanted to kind of pick people's brains as to maybe some areas that a combination of features that they didn't know exist, to reveal that to them, and explain how it operates, as well as if there's any stumbling points within the software that allows us in the tutorial to explain it better, and also gives us feedback to maybe change how we're doing it for the end user to make it more comprehensible or user friendly.
Yeah, when I'm done with this whole thing, I'm going to go back and I'm going to table out everything that was discussed, and every pain point that people had, or things that were super easy. And I'm just going to outline out this entire tutorial, because this needs to be a very comprehensive tutorial, because kOS is one of those things that it's actually very easy to use, but everybody sees it and gets very scared. And I want to make that easy. So I'm doing this on this channel informally, just so we all learn how we all learn. And then that way the tutorial can be the best, most efficient for everybody.
And it's helpful for us as well. I want to do a UI layout change on it won't be this most recent version coming out, but version 7. So any feedback as far as layout, button placement, things like that you wish would change, just to make the flow easier, and just a better experience all around. So any and all feedback is greatly welcomed. And then again, like Scott said, asking as many questions. We just had a customer pop in here that was traveling from New York, and he does a lot of music videos. And he's like, man, I wish you guys could drop in a music file so that way I could set up my moves to a music file. I'm like, you can. And he had been using kOS for, I think he told me several years, and did not know that feature was even in there. So this will be a good time to hopefully, just through people's questions, expose people to things that maybe they're not aware of, like DMX lighting controls in there. Some of the stuff that you don't see right out front. It's pretty powerful software, and also we can explain how to use it and how it's intended to be used, and get the most efficiency out of it as possible.
Yep. So feel free to ask all the questions you want anytime you want, and we'll just keep on going.
All right.
Anything else, Eric?
That's it for now. I'll be monitoring the comments.
All right, cool.
All right. Have a great day, guys. Really appreciate this opportunity to be on here. Thank you.
All right, here we go. We're going to jump right on in. What we have today is me, and then you see here, we have Cine Shooter right here with the heavy-duty support bracket. It is on the Cine slider. It's going to be hard to see. Let me turn up some lights here. You can see there's Cine slider, and it's on an angle going back to the back. And then also up top here, you can see we have their Kessler power block. And it's what we're going to be working towards here is the perfect evil henchman. We're going to be lowering down poor Mr. Bill here, which we have poor Mr. Bill. We're going to be lowering him down into the, well, normally it'd be a vat of molten something or other, but in this case, it's evil dinosaurs. So that's what we'll be working on. That will allow us to demonstrate multiple controllers, multiple axes going on. We will have, you'll be able to see kOS with me in there. You'll be able to see Mr. Bill going to his death. All of these things, all down here. So let's jump into kOS, and we'll go over kind of some basics that are going to happen right up front. So right off the bat, you've got this layout. This layout, it looks scary, but it's really, really very simple. let me back up a little bit. When you first fire up kOS, the new version, it's going to prompt you when you have your controller, your Cine Shooter, or your Second Shooter Pro connected. It's going to prompt you if your firmware is not up to date, and it's going to have you update it right then and there. All the kOS includes all the firmware, so it's super fast and easy. So once everything is updated, then you'll be placed into this screen right here. We're going to be going through the full premium kOS. There's a light version as well. When Eric comes on next, he can discuss the various pricing and all that, so you understand what the differences are. But the premium basically gives you tons of everything. You can have many controllers, many different keyframes, many axes. It's all over the place. So what we have, and y'all let me know if anything can't be seen properly or what have you. All of this is right here. This vertical axis is nothing but the position of the motor. So when we set up our motors, which we'll do here in a minute, the motor is going to go from the beginning to the end that we set for our range of motion for the motor. So on the slide, we would set it from as far back down to the front. That's all this is. This vertical is just simply the beginning to the end. So any point on that line, it'll tell you approximately where that motor is. Then this right here, the horizontal axis, is time. So we have motor position over time. And so we assign keyframes out there in that giant grid. Those keyframes are literally just at 4 seconds, this motor is at this position. And that's all the graph is. And then we can go really deep into curves and all kinds of cool stuff. So you have, right here is your slider for time, and you configure what this time is. So you can see up here, it's subdivided out to 1 minute. That move time is right here, and you can change it to hours, minutes, seconds, what have you. We're going to set it to 15 seconds. Now, that just then resets this up here, so we can see that our timeline is set to 15 seconds. Now, you can, on the new versions, you can have multiple controllers. So you can have multiple Cine Shooters, you can have multiple Second Shooter Pros, you can have them connected via Wi-Fi or via USB, and they will show up down here below. You can see this says CS, Cine Shooter, and it says USB. It's telling you that there's a Cine Shooter connected and it's connected via USB. This one, Second Shooter Pro, it's also connected via USB. Now, you can right-click on any of these and you can rename them to whatever you'd like. So if you don't like SSP because it reminds you of a toy you never got when you were a kid, you can rename it to not SSP if you like. So just whatever you want down here so that you can differentiate between them. They are separated for a reason. They're separated so that you can actually have multiple different things happening at multiple different times. You can have them together or individual. So that's why they're separated. One thing to note, so they are separated. If you look here, we have a move time, and we're on our Cine Shooter right now. We have a move time of 15 seconds. If I click over to the Second Shooter Pro, it has a move time of the default, which is 1 minute. So if we want these to line up, we need to set them to be the same. So I'm going to go here. You just drop down, and then you can type in anything. You've got seconds, minutes, and hours. And if you just start typing, it's in seconds. So we're just going to do 15 seconds, and there. Now, both of these are configured to be the same. Now, we can look at the individual axis that we have on each of these controllers. So on the Cine Shooter, which is what we're on right now, we see we have a, let's say slider. Yes, it does. Okay, it's really dark on this monitor over here. So we have a slider, we have a pan, and we have a tilt. You can see that they're enabled, and you can enable or disable as you want throughout your movie. And there's reasons you might want to do that, and we'll get to that as we come. So then if I click over on Second Shooter Pro, you can see we have a pan axis. Well, it's not really a pan axis. I have it plugged into the port named pan, but if I right click on it, I can then change this to, we'll call it the drop line. So now we have the evil drop line is right there, which is, you can see here on the small, it's right here. And if y'all are having any issues seeing anything, if the resolution is funky or what have you, just let me know. Hopefully everything is good. And real quick, those of y'all out there, put in the comments where you're from, which Kessler motion control you have, what you're most interested in learning, all of that. Just put it down there so we can just kind of see what's going on. So now we're going to go back. We have our slider. Now, we're going to want to set our extents. So how far can we allow the slider to go? And we do that for safety, obviously. So right now, I have the slider as far back as I really want it to go. You can see here, it's about 2/3 of the way back. It doesn't make Mr. Bill any more interesting if I go back further. So let's just call this right here the beginning. So we're going to start the extents here. We're going to click Mark Begin. Notice it turned yellow. Now we need to work on the end. And the way you do that is back up. If it's not in the right position, you use the slider here. And it's kind of like a rubber band. You pull on it one direction or the other, and it moves down. Let me go there. There we go. Sorry. So we pull up, or we could pull down. And the further you go is the faster it goes. And then if you want it to stop, you can release, or you can bring it back to 0. I'm just going to bring this all the way down to where it's almost at the beginning. Just there. You don't want it to hit because you could cause a motor fault or reset. Looks like a bit dark, and the Scott Malcolm on the logo. Okay, let me, oh, that's a good point. Very good point. Let me get rid of me. Let's see here. General, can I get rid of my name? Really? I can't get rid of my name? That's hilarious. Let's see here. How do I get rid of my name? I literally cannot get rid of my name. That's funny. What does this do? Edit layout. That's not going to help. Edit name. There we go. Cool. So y'all know who I am. You're on my channel. Let me just connect that. There we go. And save. I have to enter a name. All right. Period it is. My name is period. There we go. And it's still covered. It makes me have a name. That's really bad. Hopefully that's better. Looks a bit dark, and so the dark, I don't know if I can make it any brighter, because that is a shared screen. Are the power blocks in stock? It says reserve on website. It's a good question. Eric can type in the chat if he's around. Usually I believe they're made to order. Let's see here. Okay, I think we're caught up. All right. So then I've gone all the way down to the bottom, showing you where the city shooter is now on the city slider. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to mark end. Now, what's going to happen when I hit that? This slider that was a rubber band before is now an actual progress. So this is the very end and this is the very beginning. I can drag this if I want and it will move to that point, or I can simply click all the way to the beginning and it's going to zoom right on up. And you can see the progress. This is where it knows it is as it goes up. And now it's all the way at the beginning. So we need to set this up on all of our axes. So I want to do that relatively quick here, but I'll talk it through as I go. And another cool feature about this is if you don't power off, well, even if you power off, the kOS will save your points, your beginning and your end, your extents of each of your axes. The important thing is that you do not move the axis when you come back in. So if I power off City Shooter and go back into kOS, it's going to go, you might have moved it. Did you move it? And did you have your limit set? And you're going to answer, yes, I did have my limit set. And then it's going to verify, did you move any axis since then? If you moved an axis, it needs you to redo it for safety. But if you didn't move anything and you just were swapping a battery, then you can say, I did not move it, and it will restore all of your endpoints and start points. So that's a great feature. So we're going to go through here real quick. Let's see here. So the answer there was we're currently out of stock. However, those should be in about a week. They're made to order, but normally ship the same day. Hi, Dark. Hi there. Okay, so I think we're good. So I'm going to continue going through here. We're going to go to the pan axis next. So you really, when you set up your limits, you don't need to set like the full capability of the axis. It's really what is the most you would ever move it in your move. That's what you want to set, because that gives you a much finer deal, because you could spin the City Shooter around 10 times, which means that as you move that little slider, when it's done, you move it a little bit, it's going to spin. So if you just set it to the actual limits that you would reasonably use, then you'll have finer control as you go. Of course, it's always fine because you even have push buttons here. Well, I'll demonstrate that in a second. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to point all the way here to the left and shoot it out into the middle of my wall here, and I'm going to mark a begin. And then now I'm going to move it over to the right. Whee! And we'll go over motor speeds here in just a moment, because you can configure these for setup and for move, and it really does help. All right, that's good for that. Mark end. So now I'm at the end. So if I want to put it back kind of in the middle, then all I gotta do is click the middle, and it's going to come right back around. You can see it spinning around. And it's set relatively slow. I like to do that mostly because I'm doing really big, intricate moves. And if you have things going fast, you may not realize you're about to plow right through your set. You just want to always take your time when you're setting up. Okay, so we can now, that's good. All right, we're going to go to our tilt real fast, and I'm going to move it up. Yep, that's good. We're going to go down. All the way down, all the way down. Keep going a little further. You can do it. Right there. And just do note that you can only move one axis at a time when you're manually moving things. And if you tell it to go someplace, like when it's already set and I say go to the end, you can't do anything until it's there. it has to finish its move, and that's for safety purposes. Okay, so now I'm all the way down. I'm gonna mark my end. Hopefully y'all aren't hearing that cough, right? Resolution is great, perfect. Good, good, good. All right, so now we have, this one is set up. We're gonna pop it to the middle. And there we go. And then we have it. You can also reverse it. So for instance, this is slide left and slide right. So let's see what we got on our pan. This is a great indicator. So if I click this, it is going left. Because to me, that's natural. If I go to the left, I want the camera to go left. But let's say it's not. Let's say, whoops, it was going the opposite direction. Click the reverse button and it will flip-flop it. And now it's right. But in this case, Pam was correct. All right, so these are all set up. Now I'm going to go over to my Second Shooter Pro and set it up. Now this one is, it's the, what is it? The drop line. Yes, the drop line of death. So he's already up here. He's almost at the very top of the power block. And for those of you who don't know what a power block is, it is a Kessler motor encased in a cheese block. It's like a cheese plate, but it's a block. And then there's a pulley on the end with a cheese plate on the end. I just have some fishing line going around it like a pulley. And then I can now, I'm going to mark my beginning here. And then I can drop him down. You see that way. And I'm just doing it with control. And I'm going to bring him down all the way till he's just about, we don't want the dinosaurs to eat yet. They're on a carnivore diet. So we're going to go ahead and set our endpoint here. So now poor Mr. Bill is all the way there. So we're going to send him back up. And you can see he just, whee. This is definitely not how you would rig. This is a compact version of reality right now, because why would y'all want to hurt Mr. Bill? You wouldn't want to do that. Okay, now we have our extents set on all of our axes. So if you had another cine shooter, it would show up down here at the bottom, right next to my period. And you would need to set up that. You can have, what is it? I believe you can have 3 cine shooters. And don't forget that Cine Shooter has 5 axis, and you can come out of Cine Shooter and expand it to a Second Shooter Pro, giving you 8 axis in one Cine Shooter. And you can have, I believe, 3 Cine Shooter clusters. So that's 8 times 3, that's math is 24. That's 24 axis you can have here in Chaos. It's kind of amazing. Let me take a brief drink here. Any questions about anything we've gone over so far? I mean, seriously, feel free to just pop in the questions. No one's going to make fun of you because we're all learning together. That's how we do this. All right, so we're going to go back to our Cine Shooter. Now, we want to do a move here, and the move, we might tweak it as we go. I'm literally inventing this on the fly, so bear with me. But we're gonna track poor Mr. Bill as he descends, but we don't know what's down below yet. We just see poor Mr. Bill's feet. Let me let's go find his. Where's Mr. Bill? There's Mr. Bill. So we're gonna track poor Mr. Bill coming down, but we got to build that suspense. Maybe there's some drums in the background, and we're not really sure. It could be sharks with laser beams. We don't know. And then we're going to reveal the dinosaurs, and then poor Mr. Bill will come in. So what we want to do is first line up our shot on Mr. Bill, and this is right now. This is just an R7 Canon with a 50 millimeter GDU lens on here with autofocus. just because it's simple and it's fast, and we could spend hours and hours and hours on this tutorial, or we could do this relatively easy because it just scales out. Let's see here. Please cover the event mode. The tutorial on Kessler is far out of date. Yeah, I will do my best on that. I will have to gather something, which I will do while Chris explains Unreal, because that's on iPad, but we will definitely get you something there. Ollie says, the tutorial we need but don't deserve. Just catching up. Had no idea you could add a music file. Mind blown. Oh, it's better than that. You can add music files. You can add sound pointers. You can add visual markers. You can add DMX lights flashing, whatever you like. There's so many different things. And I'll give examples of that too. Hello, Ollie. Good to see you. Okay, so let's see. Jason says, hey guys, Jason from Kessler Crane here. The first person to let me know how many years Kessler Crane is celebrating in 2024 will get a free quick release. Begin now. Boop, 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 boop. I should have loaded up some WAV files. Ollie says 21 years. 21 years. Jason will have to let us know what the correct answer is. Let's see. Who else do we have? What else do we got? Boop, 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 boop. Put your guesses in quick, folks. Hurry. Some of y'all hopefully aren't behind in the live streams. If you are behind in the live streams, make sure you click live so you're caught up. You don't want to be winning. Let's see. Any other guesses? Come on now. Come on now. Let's get some guesses in there. I wonder how many people are listening in the background. They're like, oh, wait. Or everybody's Googling. That would be a shame. That'd be a shame. I'll give it 5 minutes. No worries. Don't want. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. We'll just keep on going. All right. So let's go back to poor Mr. Bill. Now we want to frame him up. So what we can do, let's switch. Let's do this here. And then we're going to switch my top one. We're going to make him Mr. Bill. Are we? We're not. Let's see, DVE, there we go. Now we make him Mr. Bill. Okay, so now you can kind of see, and you don't need to see me, you just need to hear me. So we want to frame up Mr. Bill here. So let's just use our tilt and get it just right where we can see. There we go. Now we want to get our pan. And then we're going to just kind of move over ever so slightly. Just don't mind the lights. This is a live studio set, folks. Okay, so that feels pretty good. And we have, if we needed to adjust our drop line, we would do that here. So once we've got it here, we've done all of our keyframe, or all of our positioning, we've done all at once. So all we have to do is go up here. We can see that our time is right at the beginning, and I just right click, and now we have a slew of options. We can add keyframes to all axis. In this case, that's what we're going to do. But if you have already set up a bunch of axis and you wanted to add one more, then you would do add keyframe to selected axis. That way it won't alter anything else. You can also add markers, and we'll get into those here in just a minute. Then audio cues, yep, that's what we talked about here. You can add an out port cue, very cool stuff coming. DMX cue. You can display the selected axis only. That's more of a display, but it'll basically, you're going to see all the axis on here, and it could look like spaghetti at some point. But if you just want to see the one, each axis has its own color, but sometimes it just all merges together. So you can display the axis only. Then you could unlock all keyframes and markers, which will allow you to move anything and everything. You've got graph options here. We'll go into that in a little bit. Then there's a new feature, move multiple keyframes. Fantastic, fantastic. And we'll get to that in a minute. But like I said, we've set up we've set up 4-axis in the position that we want for our first shot with poor Mr. Bill here. And so we're going to click Add Keyframe to All Axis. Now that added in 3 keyframes here, and we need to go over to our Second Shooter Pro, and we need to right-click and add keyframes to all axis. Each controller requires you to add the keyframes on its own timeline. Now, that's done. What do we got here? What do we got here? We've got Frostrips 2010. You are the winner. Well, you're all winners. And oh, wow, that's the most politically correct way of saying it. But the first to correct, 20 years. Look at that. Congrats. That's awesome. 20 years right there. Boom. Very good. All right. So you will, Frostrips 2010, you will reach out to Jason. I don't know how they want to do it. Somehow. Okay. So now we've got our first keyframe set. Now we're going to build this the way that I build things. Now you can build them a little different. Some people like to build as they go. So they start and they know that Mr. Bill wants to come down, and so they'll kind of keyframe as they go. What I like to do is I like to keep it as simple as possible. Where am I at? I'm wrong one. Let's do that. There. I like to keep everything as simple as possible. So what I do is I start with keyframes and then I go to my final end and I end with keyframes. Or if you're doing a really complex move, there are like chapters in a book. You go to a point and then something goes completely different. So that point is where I would stop. So I'm going to drag this all the way to the end and I'm going to set my final. And the reason I do this is you can do so much of your fine tuning with curves, which means you don't have a keyframe, because what can happen is you could have a move that's going, your keyframe says, now go this way. So then it does a slant. Well, you could put curves on there, but you're going to have this kind of, this forced movement, change in movement. Even with curves, you sometimes can see that or feel that. That's not a right or wrong thing. You might actually want that. It's not a limitation. It's just the way that it's working. But by doing it with curves, and I'll show you how we work backwards, it allows you to point along the way and get your all your movements that you can through curves, and then we adjust with keyframes in the middle. Let's see here. Oh, we got arguments now. Let's see here. Let's see here. You can connect both City Shooter and Second Shooter Pro to kOS wirelessly in client mode, correct? Yes. You can do wireless or USB. Kessler was founded in 2003, right? I'm with Ollie. Kessler Crane's website about... Uh-oh. Man. What did Eric say about Jason? I thought he said Jason was like really good. What's up with this? What's up? Now we need to find out what's going on here. All right. So we've got it set it to our end here. Now we're going to go ahead and line up Mr. Bill to our final frame. So let's start here with our Second Shooter Pro and our drop line. And we're just going to drop Mr. Bill out of the frame. Bye, Mr. Bill. God, doesn't that just look a little evil? Come on down, Mr. Bill. Right about, I don't want you. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Not quite to the end. Okay, so this one's good. So I'm going to go ahead and add my keyframe to all axis here. Now we're going to go over to, this is set up right now to auto keyframe, isn't it? Yep, okay. So I'm gonna turn this off real quick. So we have auto keyframes. Auto keyframes, which is over here under graph options, and we'll go through all those as we edit and manipulate. what it's going to do is it's going to set up a ramping for you. And you can see this has kind of a curve to it. That was the auto keyframe. And if we have it, you can see it sets that ramping at 33 as the value. I don't want that, and I'll explain here in a minute. But you always do want ramping. Well, almost always, because inertia is a fun thing. Okay, so now we've got Mr. Bill. We're just seeing this monofilament right here, and we want to go ahead and bring our slider all the way down. Let's just take it. This to the end. Now we're going to tilt down a little bit. What do we see? We see the screens. All right. Now we're going to pan over just a little bit. Get us all. There we go. Now that's probably a little too dramatic for what we're wanting. But well, let's see. We might want to. So right about there. Okay. So that's our nice little frame there. So that feels pretty good. We are lined up. And we're going to add our keyframes to all axis. Now, because I have the auto keyframes turned off, we will, let's see. Scott doing VFX compositing. No, I'm not. We no longer have any curves on there. Also, any wiggling that you see, like literally me bumping my elbow into it, it is not the Kessler gear. It is literally the table shakes, unfortunately, and me bumping into things is going to happen. This will wobble because it's suspended. This is a demonstration, so let's not be critical of everything. Okay, so there we can see Mr. Bill. Let's see if we get a little better lighting on this. Oh, yeah. Do we want to, maybe some uplighting? Oh, that is scary, isn't it? There we go. Okay. So now we've got, I'm going to pan over just a little bit. So we'll make sure we're on pan. And we're just going to just a smidge, right? What do I want? Right about there. Now, you can bump a large amount here or small amount here. So if I bump this, you can see it moved quite a bit, and I can go back. Or I could just do a tiny, tiny little bumps. You can see it. We'll do a bump here, so a bump. You can see the ever so slight bumps that we're doing there. So that looks pretty good. Yep, we've done that. Now, I just modified the pan. We already set our keyframes. So now what do I do? Well, that's very easy. Since I moved it here, I can update this keyframe right here. Just right click on it, and I can say move to motor position. What that means is it's going to move the keyframe to where the motor currently is. So I click it, and it just moved it down ever so slightly. Let's see here. Get over there. Ali, you are also correct. We were founded at the end of 2003, but celebrating 20 this year should be just when you think Jason couldn't get more awesome. That's fun. I bet Jason looks up the answers to his next question. Okay, so now we've adjusted that. If we play this back, what we're going to find is it's not elegant. It's not graceful. It's not what we actually want. It's going to be okay. Let's do a quick check here because we have these rapid starts. So when you have no ramp, that means that the motor is going to go from 0 RPMs to whatever RPM is required to do this angle. or this change over time. So let's say it needs to operate at 1,000 RPMs. It will start at 0 and then immediately 1,000 RPMs. What happens with that is you get inertia. So if I hit something, it moves a little bit. So if I hit it and then I send it on its way, it's going to be wiggling as it goes. That's why ramps are so important. But let's demonstrate it so you can see here. I'm going to click load. Well, let's check out our move time, make sure. So it says right here, we've got 15 seconds, and it says the minimum move time is 14 seconds. It's telling you the slider is currently the slowest available move. Now, we can bump that up here just a little bit, and I'll show you how. Let's look over here at our Second Shooter Pro and make sure what its current speed is, 13 seconds. So right now, it can do 13. So we have it set at 15, so we are both within parameters, and we can continue to go. Hey, Luca, good to see you. All right, so we're going to click load, and this is going to now come back. When it comes back, it's going to go back as fast as possible. That is not always what you want, and we have settings for that. But let's see this one now. So what's going to happen is instead of linearly moving exactly as it is on here, it's going to move at the fastest speed it can to go back to the beginning. So right here, it's asking, when I click load, do you want to include what devices? So if I don't want to run both, sorry, Mr. Bill, you poor guy, just tease those dinosaurs like that. If you don't want to include all of your controllers or access, you would uncheck them. But in this case, we want all of them. We want all the access. So we're going to click load, and now it's going to go back. You can see it popped right out because immediately the fastest thing it can move is it can move the pan motors, because the pan motors are configured for super fast. Well, actually pretty fast, but not super fast. So now tilt is done, pan is done, the drop line is done, and the slider was the last to go. Let's go back here, and we're going to play this. We'll play back over 15 seconds, and it's going to do, calm down, Mr. Bill, calm down. It'll be okay. They ate yesterday. We'll be able to now click go. Whoops. There we go. We'll be able to click, did I have that on before? Hopefully I did when I was showing all the move times. You know, if I didn't, let me know. We're going to click go, and we're going to have a 2-second delay here, and then it's going to go down. So now we can see right off the bat, well, it's panning and it's dropping. It's tilting down a little faster than we would like. And we also want to kind of tease those dinosaurs at one point. Now, it came to a sudden stop. Now we work backwards. And this is where we clean up with well, not necessarily keyframes, but with curves. And I'll show you what I mean. So we have the ability over here. We click scrub. I'll put that right there. We can actually go back in time. We can just drag it, and we can see what we want. So let's not worry about yet revealing him, but let's just keep him centered up. So already, we don't like how he is. I can kind of point here. Is this available on my city drive? I don't know if this version is, I don't think this supports city drive. Somebody from Kessler will be able to answer that. Yeah, we'll have to have them answer. So right here we can see that Mr. Bill is starting to kind of, he's panned to the left a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to go down to the pan, and I want to correct it a little bit. So let's pan it over. Now, I've moved it over a little bit, but that's not where this is. So what I want to do is go over here, and I want to add a marker to the selected axis. Now, if you look, It's hard to see, but that plus sign, which is the yellow is a marker, is above this line, which is telling me that this line needs to go up in order to get it where we want. And this is how we're going to work backwards. And we would do this on the tilt as well. We'll do the tilt in just a moment because there's some fun to have with that. So we're going to go back in time a little more. Go about halfway. And you can do this as much as you want. If you want to set markers, you notice the marker went to the color of the axis because we set it per that axis. Okay, we're still not centered anymore. You can see he's not in the middle. He wasn't to begin with, but we want to kind of slowly move him. No, he's fine there. Let's modify the tilt. So the tilt, I want to show. Oh, we're seeing dinosaurs right there. So I want to show. We'll do the tilt here in a minute. Let's just keep on going here. Make sure that everything lined up here. Now, why? Is he still down there? Oh, I didn't have scrub on. Got to click scrub on both. Sorry. I was like, he did not move like he was supposed to. So now both of them have scrub, and now we can scrub. Sorry. Okay, so now the tilt is, we'll work on the tilt. So we're fine on the pan. Did I turn off scrub here? Scrub. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, we're going to scrub this. This is a to be fixed. I am on a beta version. This will be fixed real easily. Okay, so we're there. Okay, so now what we want to do is we've got our blue cross right here. And so we want to add and change it so that this lines up. Easiest way to do that, make sure we have lock handles off. Link handles will be on. So lock handles means you can't modify it. So we're going to click on our pan axis, and I just want this to line up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on that one, the pan axis start point. And now I have a handle, and I can drag this handle out, and now I line it up where it's on the plus sign. You can see it there. Yeah, Chris will be on. I'm going fairly slow. We will bring Chris on about 1, I think. So not too long, about 10 minutes. If Chris is good with that. If not, then if he needs more time, I can. He's good with that. Okay. So in 10 minutes, I'll bring him on because he's got limited time, and he's got a lot of cool stuff to show, and then I can jump back in and do it. But Chris is way more advanced and Unreal than I am, like on and off kind of thing. Okay, so we've lined up this here, and now that's good. So we're going to let's do our tilt net, or yeah. So we're going to go scrub down. So let's see. Let's bring it to the middle. We got to turn it on. Scrub. Right to the middle, and then we'll go over here to this one. We'll turn it on, and we're going to go right to the middle. Now, I want to follow him down, and then I want to I want to follow Mr. Bill down And then I want to accelerate really fast and go down and show the dinosaurs and then have him drop in at the end. So we're going to, we see Mr. Bill is there in frame. So right about here, I want to keep him lined up. So we're going to go on our tilt. We'll do our tilt axis right here. Scrub, good. Nope, get right there. And we're going to adjust. We're going to go up a little bit. So we're following him down. Right about there. Now I'm going to make a mark here. So I'm going to add a marker to the selected axis. You can see here. Now we're going to go forward in time. Right about, let's go 3/4 of the way. And then we'll go back over here to this guy. And we'll go 3/4 of the way. Now, at this point, where I want to be is I want the tilt to go way down. And I want to reveal the evil, whoops, that's a little far, a little more evil there. Right there. So now I want to reveal for that. So I'm going to add a marker to the selected area. So now we've got this jump that we need to do. And then make sure that everything goes, oh wait, is, did I? I did, yes, okay. So now we're going to go back and we're going to slide him all the way to the end. And we're going to go over here and we're going to scrub all the way to the end. And we're good there. So that looks like we went up a little bit. But I like that marker. We'll play with that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to adjust our curves some more. So we've got this curve. We can double click and drag it to here and get it lined up. Now we can take this one. Now if I move it, it's only going to go outward. So I can't raise it up, but I can go over here and I can choose cusp handles. Now I can pick this up and move it to where it's going to line up. Now I can take this one and let's just get it to line up. Yeah, pretty good. We can do that. We can also fix it all with keyframes if we want. But see, now we're really looking pretty close. And the reason I like to do this is I've now done this with 2 keyframes, a start and a finish. That makes it very, very smooth and controlled. Let's see what we got. Let's, everybody's good, so we're going to do load. We're going to load them both. And then do I want to start from the current position or no? I want to start from the move from the beginning. Yep, so we're going to go all the way back. And we'll dive in here. We got what, like 1 minute. We'll play this back and then we'll bring in Mr. Field for Unreal. All right, we are all ready. And we can watch Mr. Bill on the top and see what happens here. So we're kind of following him down. Now all of a sudden we're going to accelerate down and reveal the evil dinosaurs, and then poor Mr. Bill comes into it. So yeah, I can already see what I would want to change, which is super easy. But for now, let's pause this. Chris, are you ready? Do you have a thumbs up for me, sir? Yep, you do. Cool. Let's bring to the stage Mr. Chris Fields. Hi, Chris.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. And if y'all don't know Chris, he's Biolapse, all that cool, extremely cool. I don't know. He could better do it. I'm going to full screen him and let him present.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I was just going to take some time and go over the Unreal Engine integration with Kessler kOS. This is something I've been playing around with a bit with virtual production sets. It's really been kind of a game changer for my type of work, where I'm dealing with a lot of in-studio stuff, small subjects, things like that. Instead of having to build out a massive set, I can actually build one that's quite a bit smaller. Saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money, and really, it really is just a really cool tech to be able to play around with. So what we see here, this is just a little mossy log that came from the Hoh rainforest up in near the Olympic Mountains, far up northwest. This was sent to me by some people that were out there, and I was filming some stuff with this in my studio. But what we got here, if you look, is there's no real background to this. It's just that log. So I just kind of wanted to show you, give you an idea of which part of this was real and which not. And also, when you're looking at this, and I wanted to have this movement going because what I wanted to show is you can always just punch in a background like this and use something like a static image, but it doesn't really have a lot of sense of depth to it. Nothing's really moving. There's no parallax with this backdrop in here. So the great thing about Unreal is that it can actually allow you to do that with end display. And I'm sure we've all seen new movies and productions going out using virtual production. And this is basically the same type of tech. So let me get this pulled up. And you can see here's the camera moving back and forth. And I just have a plain old 55-inch TV, nothing special. I got a Blackmagic Cinema camera, and I'm using a 24mm prime lens to do the filming. And what we're going to do, so let me get this out of the way. I'm going to show you how all of this works and how to get it set up, okay? Now, this is an environment that I got a while ago, and I absolutely love this scene. It's just this abandoned apartment, and you can see that, things have started to overtake it. There's a big portion of the wall that's missing, and this really is just a fun little environment to shoot in. I've done quite a bit of work in this one here. So what I want to do is show you how we're going to actually take kOS, and we're going to get it all set up. Okay, so I went ahead and loaded up this environment just because with Unreal, the first time you load a project, it takes a while, and I didn't want to just sit there with the wheel spinning while it was attempting to load. But you can, I'm doing this from scratch, so all the plugins, everything like that, we're going to go over all of that stuff. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to prepare our environment for virtual production. So you're going to go into Edit, go to Plugins. And there's several plugins you're going to want to look for. The first one's going to be Live Link. You want to make sure that Live Link is enabled. You want to make sure that Live Link over end display is enabled. And anytime you change, well, a lot of times if you change some of these, it's going to have you restart it in order to get everything up and running. So we have Live Link enabled, Live Link over end display. And then we're going to go to 3D, which is Live Link 3D. This is the plugin that we're going to use to make the connection. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because if I say no, I can't go any further. And then one other thing you're going to want to have up and going is Switchboard. And I went ahead and put that on there because sometimes this can take a few minutes for it to load up. So I'm going to go ahead and do a restart. And while that's happening, where's my OBS? Just gonna shrink myself up to the corner here while we are waiting. And this is all happening on my other display, so you can just sit here and look at me for a moment. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at kOS while this is loading. So Scott's already gone over a lot of this, and all of this stuff really still applies, especially the part where you have to set up the beginning and end points when it comes to all your different any motors that you have plugged in. So in this case, I'm just doing slider, pan, and tilt, and that's really it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and stop this because I'm running a movement right now, a live movement. So we're waiting for Unreal to load up. And now I'm just kind of being filler. I'm just going to shut that down. Yep, so it's just loading everything up. I was hoping to have that go a little bit quicker, but it didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up Chaos, and let's just go ahead and discuss what goes on in there. I've been having some problems. Oh, here we go. Having some issues with this PC recently. It's actually fairly old, and I'm running this, and so far I don't really seem to have any problems. There we go. So now it's stopped. Unreal's loading back in. So we got all the stuff that we need. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into Unreal. And now we have all those plugins that are all enabled. We go in here and press G just to get rid of all that extra stuff. Here's my environment. So what we need to do is we need to create what's called an end display. I am going to pin this, dock and layout, give myself a little extra room to work with. Okay, so here we are. This is my level. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build an end display. So I'm going to do a right click in the content drawer, and I'm going to go look for end display. If you don't see it here, you're going to have to go back in and make sure that that's enabled as a plugin. If it's not, you're not going to see it here. So we're going to open this up. We're going to do create a new config, and we're going to do everything from scratch. And I'm just going to double click this to open it. Okay, so when you first start out, this is the end display builder. It's got everything you need in order to set this up. And this is actually pretty easy to do. Now, if you have a really big volume or you have like a curved wall or something like that, you're gonna need to map that out. And I unfortunately, that's not something I'm gonna be able to help you with. But you can get people to come in and scan your walls and everything and then build them as meshes in here. In this case, I'm simply working with a 55-inch TV. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and take this screen and I'm gonna move it back to its default point. So I'm gonna clear out the location on it. And you can see right there now. Let me see. Everything's moving awfully quick for me here. So you see this the default viewpoint, which is this little ball, right? That or the root component, that is the center of everything. And this is where it's going to think that your camera is from. So when you're first starting out, you have this screen, and first I need to do is I need to make sure this is the correct size. Now this is a 55-inch screen TV, which means it's 121 centimeters on the wide. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, hold on. So I can correct that, lock this in, 1, 2, 1, and then boom. That's the correct size of my screen. And I have my camera is sitting right here when it's centered up. It is dead center to the screen, but it's 80 centimeters back. So I'm going to type in 80. And now this little ball here that we see in the center, this is the position of where my camera is going to be. So once we have that set up, we need to go ahead and build in a cluster node. Now this is going to be the computer that actually runs the display. And in my case, I'm using the same computer to run the display as I am using to do Chaos, as I am to do the editor for Unreal and all of it. So we're just going to go in and add a new cluster node. Now, if this was a different PC, I'd have to put in the PC, the IP of the PC that's actually running the display. But since I'm using this one, I could just go with 127.0.0.1, which is home in the world of IP. That means that it looks internally to itself as those that is referring to itself. And I'm also just going to do full HD on this because I don't really need to worry about doing 4K for my purposes. And I only have a 1080 Ti graphics card in this thing, but I can do 4K with it. It just does work a little bit smoother with HD. So once I have that, I'm going to add that in there. And next we're going to, why did it not add everything? Hang on, let me delete this real quick. I'm gonna try that again. New cluster node, node 0, cluster, full HD. Okay, here we are, VP0. So once you have your cluster node built, I'm going to go down to VP0, which is viewport 0, and I'm going to go to projection policy, and we're going to change that from simple to mesh, and we're going to go mesh to end display screen. Now you can see the display that we're looking at here now shows more of the background and everything. And then what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add an IC VFX camera. So you're going to go over to components, hit add, click that. And then you're going to bring that in. You don't really have to do much with it except for assign it a cinema camera actor. And in this case, I have cinema camera actor 0 already built into the scene. So once I have that in there, I'm going to go ahead and hit compile and then save. And I'm going to close the end display. Now all I got to do is grab this end display and drag it anywhere into the scene. And then what we are going to do, I run into this sometimes with this display. I'm going to go ahead with this room, this level end display. I'm going to go find the end display, and I am going to go ahead and take the cinema camera. Let's go ahead and clear that out. Cinema camera actor 0, and I'm going to make that a child of the end display just by dragging it and dropping it on. What that means is that then the cinema camera, the 0 point is going to be the 0 point that we saw earlier in the end display config. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. And now we've got that. And then clear the rotation. And here we go. Okay, and there you go. There you can see the display right here. Okay. And let's go ahead and just rotate this thing and put it into a position that I like. I want to be looking at all this wonderful, gorgeous plant matter. And there it is. Okay. Now, we're also going to need to add a live link controller to the cinema camera. So you click on the cinema camera and you go to add here, and you can just type in, let's see if I can get a little bit more space on here. Add live link controller. And I'm going to associate that in here. And this is what we're going to be looking for in the subject representation is going to be the camera that's attached to Kessler. However, we don't have that portion set up just yet. So let's go ahead and make a couple more adjustments real quick while I have the cinema camera up here. I went ahead and made a couple of these, but right now, so Blackmagic cinema camera uses, I believe it's a super 35 millimeter sensor. So I want that on there. I don't want to crop or anything. I got the focal length set at 24, which is correct. I've got the aperture at f16. That really is just if you move the aperture up and down, you see that the scene brightens and darkens. So there's other ways to go about that. But if you adjust the aperture, there's other ways to do the exposure, but this is one way to go about it. And then we're going to go down. And one thing I'm going to look for real quick is I'm going to turn off the vignetting because I don't like having vignetting added in by the display. I want it just whatever the camera does, that's all I really want. So we're going to clean that out. And then we're going to go back up here and that, go ahead and tame that down a little bit. And then over on this other screen, I'm going to go ahead and choose the cinema camera. I'll show you that here. Where is my, oh, there we go. So as I make changes in Unreal on the aperture, you'll see that the background lightens and darkens. I can just kind of set it to where I want it. Like I said, there's also exposure settings and everything, but right now I'm working on 5.2. I've done a lot with 4.7, and I've been learning 5.3 and 5.1, 2, and 3. So this is something I'm still kind of working on all the settings in there. So we have everything in here pretty much ready to go. And in Live Link, if we go in here and we add a source, since we have this enabled, hold on, let me make sure you're looking at the right screen. That should be it. Yes. Okay. So what you need to do when you're in here, what you want to do is go up to Window and then look for Virtual Production and come down to Live Link, and that's going to open up your Live Link connection page. So in here, if you hit add source, you should see live link free D source. Now, if you don't see that, that means you did not get that plugin activated. So you have to go back and plug it in. Then once you're done, hit add. And now this system is sitting here ready and listening. And as you see here, we still use the source machine as 127.0.0.1. That's because everything that I'm doing here is based off of the same computer. So now we're going to go over to kOS. Now in kOS, I already got my axes set up for slider, pan, and tilt. Okay, those are all there. So let's go ahead and take a look. And we got this new button here, which is Unreal Engine support. And this is going to open up all the Unreal stuff. So as you can see here, I have got three connections. And the connections are the actual motors that you're using. So I have pan. The description says it's pan. I'm giving it the axis name of pan. And I'm saying that the camera function is pan. Now, if I say change this to tilt, when I move pan in Unreal in the Kessler world in Unreal, it's going to tilt it instead. So you want to make sure that this is set up for what you're trying to do. And so you want to make sure that these are all homogenized and that they work together. We also have camera ID as 1. Now, this is so you can actually set up multiple cameras through kOS. So if you have a couple different center shooters, you can have all of them running at the same time. You can also use do interesting things with like rotary tables. I've got a second shooter rotary block. I'm not exactly sure the actual name of it, but it's the rotational base for the section shooter pan tilt, and it makes an excellent turntable for smaller subjects. And I can actually even link that with things like the with the actual end display itself here, and I can actually connect it with the end display, so I can rotate this entire thing and basically spin the world as I spin the subject. A lot of crazy stuff you can do with this. We're going to go back to kOS. And as you can see here, we have the pan. Now, when you're setting this up, and I'm sure Scott already went over this, let me back out here and go here real quick. You need to make sure that you have this set up right. So as you see right now, it says position inches, but it's not. It's degrees. And this is supposed to be -90 and +90. I don't know why those are not current in here. I'm going to go to 0, and I should see it square up. So you want to make sure. So when I set this up, I turn the camera 90 degrees to the left, and then I do the mark begin. And then I turned it 90 degrees to the right, and I do the mark end. And when you do that, you need to make sure you select the degree so it knows the units you're talking about, and do -90 for the minimum and 90 for the positive. And that means 0 will be the center point between those. Now, when I'm doing tilt, that one is a little bit different because I'm not moving a full 90 degrees. In fact, my minimum is, I believe, I had this set up earlier, -35. And my max is, I believe, 40. So if I hit go to 0, yes, it lines up nicely. So then we also have slider, same thing. On mine, I'm actually only moving 24 inches from one side to the other. However, my slider, because this is such a small spot in here, and let me flip over so you can see that. There's such a small spot in here that I'm only able to move about 2 feet from one side to the other. But the way that it sits with the motor and the wall here and over here, it's actually offset a little bit to the side. So so instead of doing -12 and 12, what I do is -10 and 14. Now, something to keep in mind, if you're setting all this stuff up and all of a sudden you realize one of your motors isn't working, check to make sure that you didn't do -90 and -90 or +90 and +90, because if those numbers are the same, it's not going to move at all. And I actually run into that a few times just because I get too fast on my typing or something and I miss the key. So if you have an axis that's not moving, that's a good place to go look. So now that I have the angles and the degrees and all that set up for the slider, pan, and tilt, I'm going to go back into Unreal.
Switch your screen back. You're showing the end result, the live camera.
I got audio coming if anybody else hears that. Okay, so anyway, here we are back in the Unreal Support tab. Okay. This is the IP of the computer that's going to be running the end display, just like in when I was setting up the node. So I got this at 127.0.0.1, and then
you need to switch your view. That's
Oh.
me talking. That's good.
That you are okay. Sorry. Oh, yep. All right. I see. I'm a bonehead. I don't do a lot of these, so I'm not nearly as polished as.
There you go.
Okay.
If you want to read off that trivia question too for him.
Wait, was there something there? Next question for a quick release. Is there only one correct answer to this one? What was the name of the first pan tilt and head that Kessler crane offered? Okay, so I'm going to back up just a little bit because I'm not sure how far I went with you not seeing what I wanted you to see. So I have everything set up. I have my distances and scales set up. I have everything centered where I want it. I go on Unreal Engine, pull this back up, and I just want to look through all these and make sure that they do line up. So pan, 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 tilt, 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 X position. That's just the name that I gave it. The axis name is slider, and the actual camera function is Y position. Now that's because Unreal Engine and it works a little bit different. They consider the Y to be the left and right, while X is the forward and backwards. And my engineering brain absolutely blows up every time I deal with it because that's just not the way that my brain thinks. I'm used to the X position as being on the Y, what they consider the Y axis, which is left and right. So use Y position if you're going to be doing the slider function. Don't use X. And also make sure that if you do have it set on Y and you're moving it and it's not doing what you want, before you change it in here, go ahead and come back out and go back to your slider and just set that to 0 and make sure it repositions itself in the middle where it needs to be. Okay, I got this messed up. 14. I'll go to 0. All right, so back at Unreal Engine. Something you also need to make sure is you have this set up the same way too, okay? Because this is the actual values for camera 1, and that's this camera that is ID'd right here. One camera, we only have one right now. So we're just using camera 1. You want to make sure that everything that's going to be associated on like one pan tilt or one motion thing, that's all on the same camera. Because if I want to add a secondary camera in with another cine shooter, then what I'll want to do is set all of those to 2, and then moving on from there. So I've got the -30 and 35, -90 and +90, and then my slide X. I've just got 40 and 40, and this is I need to actually spend more time on this. Sometimes when we're working with Unreal, I swear there's just something weird about it. It doesn't matter what I'm using and how I'm connecting to it. Sometimes these need a little bit of tweaking. And this is all talking in centimeters too. So I have -40 and 40 for centimeters. I should spend some time on cleaning that up and making sure it is the correct amount of centimeters for 10 and 14. But this does seem to line up fairly well for my purposes. So we're just going to go ahead and run with that. So now that we have all that in, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and connect to Unreal. So I'm going to close this, move this over. We're going to go back to Live Link, and it does show that it's connected. So let's go ahead and do the test button in Chaos, Unreal Engine. Of course, what I'm looking for is this little dot to go green. So when it goes green, that means it's actually receiving data. So we do have a good connection to it. Normally when you first start up, you're going to have to turn this on, hit connect, and then you can test to make sure it's turning green. Now, once you have this set up, and this is actually really important, and this is something a lot of people seem to glaze over and miss. You need to go in here and go to the preset, and you need to build this as a preset. So I'm going to save as preset. I'm not going to bother renaming it. I just need to make a preset, because when I first load up this program, it's not immediately going to bring up the 3D Live Link plugin. It's just not going to do anything. So I'm not going to be able to connect to it. I actually have to start this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to edit. We're going to go to project settings, and I'm going to put in live link. And you can see here, live link default, live link preset. I'm going to go down and I'm going to select this one that I just built. And now anytime it generates a new Unreal instance, it is going to go ahead and start that. So if I started in an end display without having that on there, it's not going to be trying to connect to anything. But now we have that on there. And if you are using an older version, keep in mind, like 4.27, below this, you're going to see a little file pathway because it's not going to find the live link preset. So you need to clear that out and then it will work. So everything on here should be good. Let's go ahead and see if this camera moves and works. The first thing we're going to want to do though, in camera VFX, we have that set to cinema camera actor 0. I want to go check cinema camera actor 0, and I want to go to the live link controller, and it says none. So I'm going to connect that to camera 1. And now you see it made an adjustment to the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and pull kOS up. I'm going to move this over. We're going to go pan. As you can see, now the camera's moving as I'm moving in kOS. Okay, so, and you can see that we have this little window within the window. And also I want to check and make sure my other axis is right. So slider. There it is. So yeah, it's moving left and right because it's on the Y position. So the reason to do this rather than just like a regular static screen is you get all that parallax that you would normally get if you're actually moving in a large set versus when you just have a wall that's a simple image. It doesn't really sell it. It just looks flat. So if very much of it's showing, it kind of ruins the effect. I'm going to go back over to kOS, take this back down, and let's go back to 0. You can even see the parallax happening in here and in here. So another thing that you're going to want to do when you start this, so in order to launch this, they use a program called Switchboard. And you need to make sure that you have it activated in the plugins. And that was one of the ones we went over. So when you get to it, you're going to want to go ahead and click on this drop down. And you want to make sure that Launch Switchboard Listener on Login is activated. And then you might want to go ahead and launch Switchboard Listener if that has not been done yet. So go ahead and click that. And then you want to click on Launch Switchboard. And we'll explain Switchboard and how this works. Okay, here we go. I am going to go ahead and just delete this entire config. And we're going to start from the ground up. So we're going to go over to configs, and we're going to do new config. And let's see. I want to browse and find the path. So in my case, we've got documents, Unreal projects, Kessler demo apartment, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to do my level, which is the level that I'm working with. And you need to make sure you select that because it might have a half a dozen levels in here, and you need to make sure that you're going to be on the right one. And I'm going to do add device, and I'm going to add a Unreal instance. And I'm just going to name this editor, and then 127.0.0.1. And this is going to be whatever the IP is of the machine that you're building the world on and that you're editing with. That might be a different machine than what you would be using with the for the end display. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that, and I'm going to do add device, and we're going to do end display. And I'm just going to populate. It should pull your asset up and hit OK. And then I'm going to click on this, and they should both connect. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Now, keep in mind, right now, I have a live link connection connected to this instance of Unreal. If I launch an end display, it's not going to do anything, and it's not going to connect to the Kessler system because this one is already up and running. So we're going to go ahead and just do save. We're going to shut this down so the editor's gone. And then I'm going to click on node 0 and launch this. And let's see. Okay. Bear with me for just a moment. Something weird going on with my OBS. Are you guys still seeing everything?
Yeah, it's all showed up.
Okay. Are you seeing that it shows that scene cam is not responding?
Yeah, we see the switch.
Okay. Wait, no. Actually, I don't think so.
We see switchboard is all we see.
Yeah, my OBS just crashed on me. Let me bring that back up.
Yep.
Hey, at least it was OBS and not chaos.
Right?
Okay, start virtual camera. All right, you guys back?
Yep, there you
go. Okay. Now we can see here, obviously something's not right because look how bright that display is. I'm just going to go ahead and there's some kind of an auto exposure thing that's happening here. So what we need to do is go back into this and we're going to close this and reopen the editor. And give that a moment to come in. So we're going to go to editor Canon. Okay. So we're going to go over here, go to the cinema camera actor. There's some kind of like an auto exposure manual. Let's see if that solves that. So we're going to go ahead and save, close that back down, and then we're going to relaunch the node. There's something about this node that it really just doesn't, OBS is not playing well with this system at the moment. Where's my mouse? Okay. I have a feeling you guys are just seeing a static image, aren't you?
And we see your desktop is all we see.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. There's something going on with OBS here. Let me try this again. So I'm going to kill the end display. It's still coming up way too bright. We're going to relaunch the editor. And hopefully this doesn't become a thing. All right, launching the editor. Okay, so camera. The exposure. Just gonna knock that down real quick and see if we can get this to do what it's supposed to do. All right, relaunching the node. Okay, hopefully that comes up a little bit more reasonable. Don't don't want that. Well, let's see.
Tim asked if you needed to recompile or just save.
Should be able to just save on that, but I'll give that a shot here in a second. Let's see if we're getting movement. It's not connecting. Oh boy. This is actually something that's kind of like what I kind of refer to as the Unreal tax. This stuff is like almost always in a constant state of beta. And it's not unusual that if you run into something, you're going to have to spend a few minutes trying to find a workaround for it. This was working about an hour ago.
I should have cut to you sooner.
So there's like a million things that this could be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this up a little bit because I actually delete config. I was kind of hoping to be able to do it in that apartment scene, but something's going on and I don't really feel like dragging everybody through the troubleshooting process on this. So we're going to do a new config, and I am going to find the config path. It's going to be back up here, documents, Unreal projects, that's your live demo. No, browse. Here it is. Okay. Go back up. Documents, Unreal projects. I'm going to grab this one because I had this one up and working, and I was hoping that I'd be able to. So Kessler demo. Take the Kessler demo one, and I'm going to add a device. Once again, same thing. Populate. Oops.
You want to switch your screen over to your...
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Before that, you haven't been showing too much, so it's not a problem. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, basically all I've been doing is trying to figure out why it's not doing what it's supposed to do. But that was a scene that I had that I think I might just need to spend some time troubleshooting. So I'm building a new end display config. So just go in and end display. I found the project, put it in there, select my level, Kessler demo, add device, end display, populate, okay. And then let's see what happens when I launch this one. So we're going to go ahead and go to scene cam, giving my mouse back. Okay. Now if I go over to kOS and do some moving there and tilt.
That's good.
So let's see, what are you guys seeing? Okay, so you're able to see this. So as I'm moving the camera around, you see that window does display and it shows in there. And if you take like a hard movement, like a pan, you can really, you'll see how much it stretches and skews it in order to like make sure that it's the correct image for the camera. So it's pretty slick the way that it does that. The only difference on this versus the other one is I don't have a good scene loaded into it. But I want to try something real quick. We're going to go ahead and do add device. We're going to go to Unreal. This is going to be the editor. And then once again, 127.0.0.1. Oops, that's not right. Yeah, remove device. I fat fingered the IP address. Add device. Unreal. Editor. 127.0.0.1. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and kill that, and let's launch this program. And also, while we're doing that, I kind of want to play around and try something real quick. Let me get kOS. So you can see here I have this auxiliary, or let me see, what's the display on? I need one of those little punchy button things so I don't have to constantly go in. Okay, so you can see Kessler here. I'm going to go to Unreal Engine. We're going to open this up. And as you can see here behind this window, I do have an auxiliary port 2 that's enabled. So I'm just going to build that in here real quick, and we're going to play around with that as well. So no axis connection. So I'm going to say new connection. We're going to say planet. And then this is on the CS1 axis name. We're going to do pan. And camera ID 2. Camera function pan. So now this will pan another camera. So auxiliary. Okay. Let me go over and you can't see it, but there I've got that this stuff sitting on like a turntable. Let me show you real quick. Nope, there's me. Scene cam. Okay, so you'll see here as I move, this log rotates. So I've got like a little bit of a pan set up on that, and I'm going to go ahead and find a way to anchor that to the end display so I can actually shift the entire display, and it looks like you're spinning the world. It's kind of a cool effect. So we're going to go on here, viewport 2, and I'm going to grab this end display. I'm going to move it back. And I'm going to move this over so we actually have something that we're looking at. Make it more interesting.
People ask, why do you want so many axes? This is exactly why. You could start expanding your world.
Yes, exactly. Like in this case, and you'll see what I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to add a basic actor. And I'm just going to, where's this actor at? There he is. Okay. And I'm going to take the end display, and I'm going to link it into the actor. Then the actor, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do add live link component, or let's see. Live link controller. And then in here, I've got, you only see one camera right now, right? So let's go to chaos. Let's go back in here and check and make sure. So if I'm on planet, I do have number 2. So if I go back into Unreal and go to live link, you see I only have one camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go to chaos, and we are going to turn that off, turn it back on, connect, and still seeing one camera. Where's number 2? Let's just go ahead and delete this out. Presets, new live link. Well, let's just delete it out and just do a new source. Add. Okay, then we're going to go back to chaos. I'm going to move this over so hopefully we can see this happen. Turn it off, turn it back on, connect. And now you see I've got camera 2. Hopefully you see that. No, you don't. Anytime you see me going off the rails here and not showing you what I'm doing, just holler at me.
Well, I'm trying to figure out when is the appropriate time to yell at you. What things you're doing.
Okay, so remember we were looking at this earlier. You only had one camera, so I needed to get the second camera up. So when I'm looking in chaos chaos, these things are associated to camera function number 1, right? And then I built this other one, planet, and I set that up as a pan, and we're putting that on camera ID number 2. Now we have another function that we can lock onto like an actor. So now that I have camera number 2 there, I am going to go to the, let's see, actor. There is the, okay, this actor. I added the live link controller, and now I can actually associate it with camera number 2. And where to go? Back down there. Okay. So we're going to move this one. Actor. And let's go ahead and position it. I'm going to bring it back out. Trying to get this moved. Okay. Now you're going to see what happens if I pan around using Unreal. So we're going to kill this. I'm going to go to this one, which is our new slider. Of course, it's all the way over at the end. Display, actor, live link controller, camera number 2. Not sure what's going on with that, but I don't want to drag it around too far because this is probably something I'm doing wrong. I do this quite a bit on my other setups with my other robots, and the idea is that you can actually anchor down onto the end display an actor or a movement. So when you have the end display up, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill that connection here real quick. As you can see, when you can do rotate and pretty much any action you want, there you go, like this. And the idea is that you can actually rotate it around a subject. And that way you can have one screen and you can kind of spin the thing all the way around and rotate the subject in the real world, rotate what the end display in the virtual world, and it all matches up. So you can pretty much hit any angle of a subject that you have. It'll take you pretty much anywhere, but I think I'm not getting that right, but I am going to be working on a tutorial series. So take all this with a grain of salt because this is not very polished. I'm not the best live. Let me pull OBS back up.
There's a lot of moving parts to what he's doing, so it's very
very my apologies on that. So yeah, there really is. There's an enormous amount that you can do on this. It's a complete sandbox. I've got a shoot that I did where I did that same trick, and I had a sock monkey with mushrooms growing out of it, and that was a fun one to do. But I was taking the camera and I was just rotating the monkey, but the whole set would move around with the monkey at that point. And it looked like this really big dynamic move, but it really wasn't a big dynamic move. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this. There's a lot that can go on. And just about any time I'm working with Unreal, I run into something, but I plow through it and I learn about it, and then I figure out what you need to do to make it work better the next time. But you can see here though that it does work. We can actually grab onto that camera with kOS,
switch your view,
and we can move it in the virtual world, and it just works. And how stable is it? So generally, as these releases have been coming through and we've been testing with it, normally I would just leave my Blackmagic camera up here and I would just run it, and it would just go and go and go like in a loop. And it would be doing that for like 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row, maybe even a week or so. And I'd come into my studio and look, and it's still doing this loop, and the end display is still reacting to it. It's still moving to it. So it really is very stable once you get it up and running too. Let's see, but I don't know. Was there anything else you guys, any questions or anything like that? Comments? What do we got? Well, Scott, I don't know. I mean, I think this is going back to you, unless you have anything else that you want.
You got to give them 2 minutes because they're 30 seconds delayed, and then they got to type their question. So, okay. I know you were trying to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully that wasn't too painful. Normally when I'm doing these, and if I'm doing a tutorial on this stuff, I got time to edit it and check and make sure that everything's doing what it's supposed to do. So live is always a little bit interesting. And I might spend 30 minutes trying to debug something or figure out why something isn't working right. And 9 times out of 10, it's just user error. Something on my side that I didn't do right.
And you're doing 4 different things on a single machine, and that's
and that started tripping up my OBS, which was really interesting. I haven't seen that. Like the entire display went away, and I had to reset that.
OBS is usually pretty solid, but yeah, I mean,
this is the first time I've ever had an issue. But This computer is like probably a 5-year-old Ryzen processor, and I got a 1080 Ti graphics card. And I got like maybe about 32 gigs of RAM. So I'm really kind of pushing what this thing is comfortable doing. But it is fast enough that if you don't, especially if you don't need that instant locking on and that instant refresh on like a large screen, you can do 4K with something about the same speed as this, or maybe a 26 or a 3060 graphics card. 3080 Ti is absolutely fine for this stuff. And you get up to the 4 series, those things just absolutely kill it. But for my purposes, if I have a little bit of delay, since I'm doing time lapse, which is basically stop motion, it doesn't matter because I'm shooting like one frame every like 15 minutes.
Wants to know when this new version will be public release. More of a question for Eric, but I believe they're trying like crazy to get it out ASAP, like it's almost final. Like, really certain. Anybody else have any questions for Chris before we let him go and he can go on about growing lots of things out of different things in his place? I think.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Hopefully that wasn't too brutal to watch. Like I said, though, I'll be putting together some Unreal tutorials on this that will have a little bit more polish and a little bit less of me kind of floundering around like a drunk monkey.
Appreciate you dropping by, Chris, and giving everybody the glimpse of what is to come in just mere moments, literally.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me.
Yep, absolutely. All right, take care. Okay, so we are now back to our, I feel like something changed. Did something change? Because I don't think these were here before, were they? Maybe they were. Everybody says, thank you, Chris, thank you, Chris, thank you, Chris. All right, we're going to go back to, there we go. So we've run our scene here, and what we found was, what we found was that he was dipping, the camera was dipping too far and then coming back up. So we're going to want to correct that. We're just messing up everything here. There we go. So that literally is this right here. So this is the end point, and we want it to actually stay right about there, which will allow him to kind of just, he comes into frame after it stops. Now, what we can do here is we can go to graph options here, and we can unlock, you could lock all your frames, or which is horizontal and vertical, or we could do them individually. In this case, I don't want to move it horizontally. I don't want to do it in time. I just want to change vertically. So we can lock the keyframe movement, unlock the vertical, and now I can physically just take this keyframe and drag it up to that point. Now, if you notice, this all moved because this has a cusp handle on it. So we need to bring that back down to reality. Try to do it as smoothly as we can, just like about like that. What you don't want is a sharp acceleration or deceleration, which will be at the beginning. So the more we can do to avoid that, the better. And in this case, there's a couple of things we could do to make that actually better, because we want this to be more of a flat line. But let's see if I bring it out. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Now what that'll do is this will be relatively flat. So now let's load this back. And when we do that, let's go ahead and change a setting up here. We want to go to the settings. So we have this reverse before move, and we have reverse before move time, which I'm set to 15. I just moved a dinosaur. And then we have the return to home speed, 0 to 100%, which is the speed at which it's going to come back. So we want to reverse before move. There. Make sure everybody is good. We're in lock, okay. Live motion. Okay. So up here we want to reverse. We have rapid reverse to first keyframe, we have rapid to first keyframe, and we have reverse to first keyframe. Rapid reverse means it's going to go back as fast as it possibly can go to the first keyframe in the reverse move. Rapid to first keyframe is going to be what it was doing before, which is going to just shoot there every axis as fast as it can go. Reverse to first keyframe is going to be at the set speed. Actually, the reverse to first keyframe is reversing the move exactly using the speed that we've set. So we're going to choose that. It's going to go back. And then we need to do that also with our other one here as well. So we're on here, we're going to reverse to first keyframe, and then he's going to disappear. And then Eric answered the question there for Tim. We're currently in regression testing, so we're hoping for a release next week. I believe iOS and Windows versions are done testing now and going through Mac. Yeah, because they're less dependent on the Unreal, because Unreal on Mac is okay. Any news on facial tracking? I hear it's somewhat next. Okay, so we have our move. So now we want to see what this move is going to look like. Let's go ahead and load. So that delay that we see, if we go to live motion, delay, we can configure that delay. And that delay for a lot of different reasons. Some reasons would be to let everything settle. If you're moving everything back, you just give it a time to settle. Also, if you need to get out of the way, or if you need to do something, I'm going to just go ahead and disable the delay because I don't want to wait. I am an impatient person. I'm going to disable it on both. All right, so now we are load. We're going to load them both. We're ready to go. And we're going to watch our Mr. Bill up here, and we'll see what happens next. So he's coming down. We're following him down. And then we're going to now accelerate downwards, revealing the evil monsters, and then he just kind of drops in. He didn't drop in where I wanted. We're going to fix that. So we're going to go tilt. And let's see what we want. We want to raise him up right about there. We want just that head right there. So that would have been moving the other. Got it. Okay, so we're going to move to motor position. Now we brought that down, and that should be fine right there. Wanted to get RHINO kOS. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's load that back up. We're going to do both of them. It's working well now, but we wanted to get Unreal kOS V6 done first because we had some customers really needing it quickly. That is the answer to AI tracking will be version 7. All right, here we go on our move. So we go. So now we're dropping down. We're following, we're tracking, we're moving, and now we're going to accelerate and just show. Now, see, that is an interesting point. So we're now moving, two things because we want to show, we'll need a keyframe in here because we actually have a downward, I had to cough. We have a downward slope on the city slider. So as it's going down, that tilt is stopped, but we're still pushing down, which is counteracting, and we want to kind of do this number. So we have our final image there, what we need to do now is adjust where it actually stops. So we're going to go right to here, scrub. We're going to go right to here. And we're going to go scrub to here. And now what we want to do is make a quick little modification. So this is, you can see the tilt is not quite where we want it to be. So we're going to add a little more tilt. So in this case, we actually do want it to kind of come back up ever so slightly. So now we're going to go and look at our add a marker to selected axis, which is right back where we were. So let's just move this back and get it right along there. Now, when we load it, it should track just right. Let's try it. Kessler says, I'm really excited how we are doing object tracking. He really likes that. And Jacob says, ooh, yes. Ooh, all right, here we go. We're going to run it. So we're following down. Now we accelerate downward, reveal the evil dinosaurs, and now he just kind of lowers in there. And we could tweak that. You can see it kind of finishes up at the end because we actually have a slight ramp, or do we even have a ramp on the slide? Yeah, we do have a slight ramp here, so we would need to add a slight ramp on the tilt, and you would do that by pulling this out ever so slightly. Just about like that. And that'll get you there. Now, what are some other things that we can do along the way? Let's say we have a manual human operated gag that we need to do. Like maybe there's water dropping on Mr. Bill as he goes down. What we would want is a way to let the person know every single time at the right time when they should go. So we can do that. Let's load. We're going to take it back to the beginning here. And it's like he's flying away, and all the dinosaurs are so upset. They are dinosaur head tracking right now. Okay, so we're going to stop this, go back here. So let's say somewhere about 2 seconds in, we need, we'll scrub right about here, let's see. Woo-hoo. I moved too fast. Let's see here real quick. I clicked too much. 1 second. There we go. There, got caught up. Is it? There we go. There we go. It's coming back. And 1 moment. Coming back up. We will reconnect. This will be a great way to show so we're coming back up here with kOS. That's going to recognize the controllers. And it didn't, did it see it yet? I saw that one. All right, so let's watch this. We're going to unplug City Shooter and then plug it back in. Now, when it comes back in, it'll reconnect. kOS will see that it lost power. And it's going to wait. Oh, there we go. Now that'll come back in. There we go. Now it's coming back up. And now our connection should be good. Come on up. We got Second Shooter Pro. We got, and please stand by. One moment. That's powered. Okay, so now let me go back in and then go back in. And now it'll see it. There we go. So you can see, it appears the device may have been power enabled, cycled. Did you have calibrated axes when you last shut down the software? The answer is yes, I did, and I don't want to lose them. So yes. Have any motors physically moved? No, we have not moved any motors. So we're going to say no, and it's now restored all of our axes here. So now we can scrub and go forward, and you can see we're moving. No, that one didn't work. Let's see what that is. Hold on. That is not the right spot. All right, so we're going to reset this axis. So if you have a weird issue like lost power, I'm not sure what happened to the lost power over there. And this axis is off. So rather than lose everything, we're going to reset this one axis. Yes, I'm sure. And now we're going to reset it right there, mark begin. And then typical back down. Okay, and then we're going to mark the end. Now, we have our, well, that is a weird one. What is that slider move? Yeah, that's right, okay. So now we have, everything should be back. So if we scrub, we can go to this point. And why is it off? It's in the wrong spot. So we'll just fix that. Go back to the beginning. Okay. Now we're on the tilt axis, and we're going to modify it. Right back where it was. We can now move to motor position. Okay, so that all shifted a little bit. Interesting. So I would be willing to bet this guy needs to come up. Oh, I mean, unlock. Why are we locked our vertical? There we go. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. Now we just move this up. And now we have the same shape. So I'd be willing to bet if we scrubbed, now we would follow. Yep. What is going on? Okay, there we go. Returning motors to home. Unable. Interesting. Okay. 1 second. I didn't even realize I didn't even have it on the screen. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to exit. I'm going to power cycle real quick. Unknown what that was. That's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Yep, all good there. So let's go back in here. Let's see, appears, yep. Did you have? Yes, I did. No. Let's see if we kept. I have to answer them both. Yeah, okay. Did you? Yes, I did. Nope. Okay, so now I want to check this right here. So the slider, okay, that's in a good spot. Yep. We're going to check the pan. Yep, that's in the right spot. And our tilt is right. Now it's back. Okay, the tilt is, oh, I wonder if I might be hitting, that's what, doing it. That makes a lot more sense. Ha ha ha. All right, let me fix this here. So I was hitting the back. I didn't realize it. Yes, I want to reset the axis. So this is our mark begin. So I'm going to give myself a little more room. I probably couldn't see the motor fault because it was behind me. My wireless battery back here is sitting. All right, so let me go back to there. Okay, so we're going to mark our end. Okay, so now we can so he should be somewhere in there. So let's see if we scrub now. Where do we get? Yes, there we go. Now we're in a much better place. Just need to fix him ever so slightly. So now we're going to tilt up. All right, so we're going to move this, right click, move to motor position. And then we're going to take this one, make sure we're not locked. We are locked. And we're going to drag this down ever so slightly. About right there. Okay, so now we are scrubbable. Now we can go to there. Okay, good. All right, so we're back on track. So we were doing, okay, so we're going to do an audible cue. Sorry about that. So let's go back over here. It's going to back up. And right about here, we want, he hasn't moved because I have to click him. Scrub, bub. And he comes down a little bit. All right. So we want to do an audible cue whereby we are letting the performer of said water to turn on the faucet. So we can right click right here. Don't click twice. Undo, undo, thank you. All right, right click, there we go. And we're going to do an audio cue. So literally what this does is you've got the A down here. Whoops, be nice. What I did was I right clicked right here and I said add audio cue. Go down here and you see the A. You can now right click the A and you now have the cue type. You can change it from out to DMX, what have you. Audio cue, we can simply go out and find an audio cue. Let's see what we got here. I think in program files, that's under, don't y'all be looking at all my files now. We have Kessler, we have, there's a WAV file in here somewhere. I'm pretty sure resources, camera shutter. Well, oh, here's a clap. How about a clap? Who doesn't love the clap? So we've got that right there. Now we have an audio cue. Let's go ahead and load them both. And now we should hear faintly, probably not too loud, that clap when it happens. Volume was really down, but it triggers a nice little reveal there of the dinosaurs. Yeah, a little bit off. Gonna adjust that. Okay, so now we have the audio cues. We have DMX, so you can go in at any moment, and if you, let's say at the very end, you want to run into your slider with your chair. You want to add in a DMX. So you can connect up DMX to your computer as you would normally hook up USB DMX controllers. The main supported ones are working. I didn't grab mine. It's in there. And in DMX, you can then trigger a DMX in an entire world. So we have DMX channel and value. So you can now trigger, let's say, a blast of fog to hit right there. Or you could trigger a flamethrower where the earth blew up and everything got better. You can do that right here. You can also trigger with the outport. And this will allow you to then trigger a photo. If you are electrically motivated, you could have that trigger electric switch if you so desired. But you could do all of that, and you could do that anywhere you want. If you want to have a DMX here, where we were going to add a DMX cue, and we want it to go from a blue light to red, then you would change your I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to switch. If we wanted to here, and then we want, maybe if I do that, there we go. If you wanted to go from a blue light to, say, a red light, then you could change here and you change your values here. So we would go channel 1, and the value of blue is, I don't know on this, 80, 88. There we go. Now that's a value there, and then here you can change this back to DMX, and we're going to go to a value of 160. So now what'll happen is it's going to cue here, and it's going to hit the red, and it's going to hit the blue there at the end. Those are things that you can do. Let's see what else, because I'm all over the place here. We have audio sync. This is where Eric was talking about at the beginning, where you could trigger a music video. So you want music to be playing in the background every time at the same time, and you want everything to be synchronized to it. You would just do that here under audio sync, enable it, choose the file, and you can have it play back at any point in there. You can also change the speed of that and how it's playing, so that you can do double time, half time, etc. All right, let's go through some other options here. Let's do real quick. Let's get this move exceptionally fast. The first thing I want to do though is get my everything to line back up. We did not. So okay, so we want to go all the way to the end. So that is not the shot that I had originally intended. So we're going to just pan this over like such. And we're going to move to motor position. Okay, and then we're going to go to the tilt. And we're going to move that up. Oh, we had just there. And we're going to move that. You can see right there, there was a little square that tells you where the motor actually is. So now, let's load this up and see where, see what we can do to get this to perform faster. If you notice, it reversed it backwards. It's doing it at 15 seconds now. So it literally did a reverse of the move itself. So let's stop real quick. Let's see what our fastest time is. Our fastest time is 14 seconds on the slide over here, and then over on the Second Shooter Pro. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to just ask them. I'm just going long-winded as I tend to do. 13 seconds is the fastest here. So we want to improve the performance of our slide. How are we going to do that? Well, first off is we have a very little of a ramp here. So your motors the motors inside basically will go 10,000 RPMs. 10,000 RPMs it's a lot, and you don't necessarily want to hear that. But you don't want that torque at the beginning to just go from 0 to 10,000. You want to slowly bring it up. So you can adjust ramps, you can adjust acceleration, and you can adjust your max speed. So let's do that now. So our slider, if we go down to our slider itself, we can now right click on it and we can see that our max setup is 5,000. Which is, it's only going to operate while we're moving it around manually, 5,000 with a 90% or a 90% damping, which is something I highly recommend because it keeps things from jiggling from all the torque with you moving the sliders and such. So we have no damping requirement here on this, and then we have a max move of 10,000. So what we can do is take this slide and what was that? No, ice. Okay. We can expand it out like this. Now, immediately, if we look here, we can see our slider is still at 14. Okay, what do we got here? Let's take this. And now our slider is at 7. Because basically what it was saying was, I don't want to stop that fast. Now, our max move, or our fastest slide is now 8 seconds on this. But over here, we still have on our second shooter, we have our max is 13. But let's go check our settings here on our RPM. So we're allowed to go 10,000 RPM, so we're maxed out. So let's just do a little bit of a ramp. So when we ramp, and then we ramp here, and see, it's also, it's keeping in mind that you may need to loop backwards. And so it can't just go pop, pop, and come right back. Let's see, Tim says, moving in reverse with the actual move is a preferred way of work instead of the fastest speed per axis. Can you give some practical examples where moving as fast as possible on each axis is better? So yeah, you can, well, if you don't have to deal with audio, then you can always use the max RPMs of your motors. And, you know, choosing your motor ratio, your speed of your motors, so they have fast, and they have super fast, and they have slow, those affect. So the slow motor can actually go fairly fast, but it needs to go 10,000 RPMs to do it. On the super fast motor, to go really fast, it may only be going 2,000 RPMs, and you won't hear it. But it's choosing, I assume, a very, very long frame move with, yeah, you would definitely want something very slow. But I regularly will do keyframes like this, where you take the keyframe, or the handle, and move it all the way to the middle. That's about the highest performance you can get out of a move is in this way. And now if we look, we can see that our move time has gone from 12 seconds, what it was, now down to 5. Now, this is not where I want. I don't want it to be quite so sloped, because it's really going to slow down at the end. But this probably will give us an 8 or a 7 second move time. It's still 5. It's still able to handle that just fine. So now we have over here, let's go back to our city shooter, and our minimum move time here was slider is 7, tilt is 8. Perfect. So let's see where our problem is with our tilt. And I can tell you right now, it's this right here. This is our problem. Because you see, this is it's RPMs that are moving, and then it goes to 0. This should be flat. But if you notice, we have it in a bit of we have a curve going on here. Now this is where you can do some keyframes in to help here. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrub to right here. Get that there, and then once it's there, I'll bring the Mr. Bill in so we can line everything up. Okay, good. And then Mr. Beal, you please come to, did you? No, you didn't come. Scrub to right there. And now he shall drop. Oh, that's my hand. Sorry, not Mr. Bill. And he just barely, there we go, kisses the frame. Okay. So now let's go a little bit further with this, right about here. I'm going to turn the scrub. Let's go a little bit further right there. Right there. Now, I am going to keep this this point. This point is fine for me, but I'm going to add a keyframe. But I only want to add it to the selected axis. Otherwise, it's going to keyframe everything, and you don't want that. Now, we got some funkiness going on here because we have curves that were designed before. So let's flatten this out just like so. And now we've got this one dipping, which we don't want. And we can actually bring this up to a flat curve, just like so. Now we have almost the same shape. We're going to bring this just about here. And now we have curves here. We'll shrink this up a little bit. And we have almost the same move that we had before, but now we have this deceleration here. Now what do we do to our time? Well, we brought our tilt down to 5 seconds. Now our slider is our problem again. So let's go back to the slider and let's see what we can do to improve that. If we just take this and go a little bit more. So you can see, here's what I tend to do here. So we have, where did I move it to? We got 7 seconds. So let's set to 7 seconds. What happens now is you can use, when you're trying to find the fastest possible move you can do, get it to where you think it is, and then set your move time to that point. Now you can use your handles to find where that actually is. So let's see. Here's our handle. So now if I move, I'm going to get some dotted lines here at some point. There we go. So dotted line there, that means that I can no longer perform this move in 7 seconds. So right there is where it starts. So I usually will make a mental note of right here, and then I'll follow it back. Again, right there. So what I do then is I bring it to the middle. When I bring it to the middle, that is the most efficient place for it to be. Let's see if I increased my speed any. I got it down to 6. Now let's take 6 seconds. And now let's go over here to this one. So we can take this handle, and now I'm going to find, okay, right there. So there's my high limit, come back, there's my low limit. So I don't have a lot of room I can go here. There to there, so right in the middle. That is the absolute best possible performance I can get, and that is 6 seconds. So that's that one. What did we have over here? Did we have 6? What was our fastest we could do? 5 seconds, so perfect. So it could meet the minimum of 6, so now we have 6. Now we can load this move, and we can have some fun because this is going to be a much faster move. Let's load that bad boy up. Yep. I did move him, didn't I? Okay, Mr. Bill. Are you ready to go, Mr. Bill? Now we're going to do a 6-second move, and here we go. So you can see that dramatically increased. Let's load that back, and we'll do a live view of that. So it's reversing. Now, if you noticed earlier when we went backwards, it didn't reverse. And it didn't reverse because we had actually moved, our frames, or we had moved our motor positions from where it was. So it's not possible for it to be on track to scrub back and reverse. So it has to go back at the, the rapid way. Now, the way to counteract that is if you move your motors, if you've scrubbed someplace and you've moved motors positions, then go ahead and grab the scrub bar and just move it ever so slightly, one side to the next, whatever it is. That will then move all motors to where they need to be so that they'll be on the performance line. Then when you click load, it will reverse back. So let's do the rapid Mr. Bill here. Bye, Mr. Bill. And that's, I mean, it was not dramatic fast. That should happen over minutes. Okay. Let's go through a few options in here. Does anybody have any questions on that? Did I cover that enough? Everybody understands that, or people already understood that and it never was a question and they want to know the other cool stuff? Because let's just say I want to move a little bit more. The first thing I want to do, I want to change this move here. This is a new feature that I absolutely dearly love. Sorry. So we've always been able to move keyframes. I'm going to unlock the horizontal so I can move this. I'm just going to move this in time over here. Now, what I want to do is there's these keyframes here. And I want those to move over to the left because I want to add another keyframe behind it. Before, you literally had to drag each one. Now, what you can do is right-click, click Move Multiple Keyframes. And it's going to tell you to do that, just simply drag over them. So find a spot and drag a square around the keyframes you want. Then you can move them left as much as you want. And we're moving in very, very large increments right here. So let's do wrong one. 0.1. Okay. So now we can move that over. Let's do 1 second. That gives us 1 second. We'll just do 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds. All right. Now, we've now moved all of those keyframes at once. Now, if you notice, there's no possible way our slider can do this move in the 6 seconds. We can look to see if we could tweak it. Is there anything we can do? And the answer is no, because we were already there. What are we at? 8 seconds now? 9 seconds, okay? And it automatically put it at 9 because it says that you can't possibly do it. But now we can add in another little move. So we've got the tilt. So let's take our tilt at the end, and we want to just kind of tilt up. And we just kind of look at his face at the very end. And all sadness will take place. So now we can add a keyframe to the selected axis. And we'll take this and we're going to even it out. So now it's a nice little curve through there. And now we'll just have that at the very end. He'll just kind of meander and not be happy about his life. We're going to set this to 9 seconds as well. So we can move multiple keyframes. Let's see here. Here's a feature request for Eric team. Would it be possible to add keyboard shortcuts for the main buttons in Chaos? The option, also user customizable, would be even more useful. I believe that is possible. Let's see here. So we have lock handles. If you lock your handles, then you cannot move. You can't add handles at all. If link handles means that the front and the back handles are linked. So there is a, You see here, this is a handle, that's a handle. If you have them linked, they are flat together. So when you move one, it moves the other, which is kind of always wanted. Not, there's a few times when you don't want to, but it keeps that smooth. It allows it to progress through the keyframe without like pausing. Hold on. My dog is never going to stop barking if I don't let him in. So then we also have the cusp handles. The cusp handles are what we did earlier, where we are able to move the handle beyond a level, beyond level. And you do that by using the correct mouse. And you can choose cusp handles. And we unlink it. Now we could just go in here and move this into a really odd shape. And it will do strange things. Now, you may want that. You may want, for instance, if we wanted Mr. Bill to drop suddenly, you could do that by doing that on his drop line. Okay, let's go back through here. So auto lock, basically after 10 seconds, it's going to lock all these keyframes. Otherwise, if you have all this unlocked and you don't have auto lock, you may forget. And as soon as you drag or click on a keyframe, you could move it, and you may move it accidentally and not realize it. So auto lock will definitely help you there. And then that's the default ramping. So then we've got under live motion, we went through that. We could do looping. So there's the loop the move will just go back and forth. Use rapid reverse instead of reverse will perform the move and then go back as quickly as it can, not reversing, back, and then do the move again. So that's only when you have a forward performance and you can't use the reverse. Loop would be, I also might want the reverse move. And then you could also set the maximum number of moves there. So then time lapse, if you wanted this move to take place over time, like Chris does with his biolapse stuff, then you would use the time lapse function, and you could set your triggers when you want to stop or start. How many frames you're going to do. You may tell it, I don't want you to start for 8 hours before you even start. You could do that. Then also down here, you have your modes. You have continuous and shoot, move, shoot. So continuous is going to continue to move the all axis, and it's just going to take a picture here and there. Shoot, move, shoot will snap a photo, then move, then stop, snap a photo or a frame, and do that. Now, why might you want one over the other? If you want the subject to not have any motion blur. So if I do a shoot, move, shoot, then anything that is caused of motion itself from the motion control from the slide or anything will not have any motion blur. Now, depending on your shutter speed, everything in your background could be blurred out if they're moving fast, you have a really slow shutter. If you do continuous, then you're going to build in the actual motion blur of the move itself. So if you have someone standing still, and then you do a continuous, then you're going to have motion blur around that person standing still. That person will be completely stationary and look with no motion blur. Everything around them, the move will have motion blur. Okay, we got multi-lapse. Multi-lapse is, it's quite simply a way for you to take multiple exposures And I don't know if we're going to have time to demo all of this because this could go 5 hours. But what we're doing with multi-lapse is we're moving a couple of different places. So I can set up the camera to go from here to here. While it's doing that, I want it to take a picture, every 10 seconds or what have you. I can have it go here, take a picture. I can have a secondary path, a different place for it to look, so it can take a picture here. So for instance, if you wanted to take a picture of, say, crowds moving and the city skyline, but you don't have a super wide lens, you want it to be vertical resolution, you can actually start from point A to point B. Each time it takes a picture, the second track is up here. So it takes a picture here, takes a picture here, then it moves. Takes a picture here, takes a picture here, then it moves. So you can then line those up. You could do multiple different time lapses at the same time. I want this over here. You may want a completely different frame. You could do that as you go across there. It's pretty slick. Delay is like we talked about already. So if you wanted to build it a delay to let things settle, or if you wanted to build it a delay for, if you wanted to build it a delay for, I don't want to start the move for 3 hours. There's a fireworks display that's going to start at exactly 9. I don't want the time lapse to start until 9. So you set it all up and tell it delay 6 hours, and boom, then it starts at that point. We did audio sync already. You can add in notes as well, and then the Unreal stuff down there. Okay, so next we have stop motion. So in stop motion, it works quite well. You set it up with your trigger on city shooter or second shooter into your camera, and what it will do is you've built out your motion. All this motion is still here. It's still going to run this, but what you're going to do is you're going to tell it, I want to do this over 100 frames. And the exposure is going to be 2 seconds. And auto advance, yes or no. Most people won't want to do auto advance, but what this will now do is I can now start at the beginning. I can take my photo. I can then move my character, which in this case would be moving the dinosaur, snap the next photo, go next, snap the next photo, go next, snap the next photo. So you get stop motion in there, and you can control the triggering, all the while it's doing the motion control move. Okay, let's see. Scrub, we went over. Time lapse it's all the settings the same there. Multi-lapse allows you in there to set up your moves. Unreal. Events mode. Okay, so events mode is where you can set up a bunch of different angles. It's literally, you would use this for an event. Let's say you had a beauty pageant going on, and there was a speaker at the podium, there was the dance performance, there was a wide shot of everybody doing a group or what have you, and then maybe over here is a small talent thing over here. So you can set up in event mode different keyframes of those, and you can trigger them to either just go to them or perform to them. So you can say, okay, we're moving from the guests or the speaker podium over to the center. So you can have a keyframe for the podium and a keyframe wide for the center. And you can tell it, I want it to perform over 4 seconds. So when I click the go to center, it's going to take 4 seconds to move it over to there. And we could do that just like we would any other way. So we're going to do 5, 4. So we've got little Mr. Bill here. So let's do a add new tile. That's position 1, and it's good. So now we're going to move. Let's move. Oh, we don't want to go up. We want to go down. Let's look at his feet. All right. Let's look at Mr. Dinosaur here. Actually, I didn't set it, did I? Yeah, I gotta set it. There we go. Set. Are you sure you want to store the new motor positions? Yes, I do. Now I want to look up. We're going to do a new tile. And we're going to go to this one. And now we're going to move it over and hit his head. It's a function I don't use too often, but I did use it on cooking show. It's quite easy when you do it with a cooking show, so that you can have multiple cameras. Okay, so we got that. We're going to set that. Yep, I want to set that. And now we can go to add a new tile. And we're going to set this one. Let's see what we want to do. Let's go for a wide. We're going to go back up here. Bring that up. And maybe this is our establishing shot that we might want to go back to periodically. So we can pan over, find the string and go down. And let's go the opposite direction because that's where we wanted to go. All right, so now we can see our kind of establishing shot. We can go back a little bit too. And then pan a little more. All right, so we can set that. Now, so we want to then change, let's see here, right here, our transition time to, let's do 8 seconds. So now we can go from position 3, and we just click position 2, and then say, go. Oh, yeah. And it just moved to that over 8 seconds. Okay, so now we're ready to go for this one. Yes. I'll bring it down. So you could use this to do, you could use it as just simply to have keyframe positions that you're not performing to, in which case you would set it to 0 seconds and just go to them. Or you could have them perform as they go. So if you had, let's say, during the talent portion of it, you go to this one keyframe, and then there's another keyframe that's basically, it's a nice little slide with a little parallax move at the end. That one, you say, okay, it'll be slided over real fast, and I want that to perform over 30 seconds. So it's a nice, slow transition in between that. You could do that. That is, there's a lot of things you can do in there with event mode. It is a lot. There's so many things with DMX. You could trigger, you can have events for all of these. So you can trigger a bunch of different things at the same time. I didn't have time to get my DMX set up to show that. So I do apologize for not demoing that, but it will be in the full tutorial. Any questions on event mode while I'm on here? Because I definitely am interested in people's questions as they come up to help me form answers and such. Scoop-a-doop-doop-doop-doo. Let's go to... No, great so far. Okay, cool. All right. We can then close that out, and that gets us out of the events mode. Then there's gigapixel. So gigapixel, Uh, for time, it would be better if maybe we could run through it real fast. Because it's what gigapixel will do is you could configure your camera and your lens. So you need to know its field of view. And ideally what you're trying to do with a gigapixel is, I want to take a picture of this, but I want it as detailed as possible. So instead of taking one wide 24 megapixel photo, what I can do is I can put on a telephoto and it's this big, and I can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a bunch and take them all that. So to do that, you need to calibrate your camera with your field of view. The way you do that is you need to be watching your monitor, and this is going to reset. So yes, we're going to go next, and we're going to recalibrate, and this is fine. So it's telling you where to approximate everything, and there's fine controls. Okay, so our current subject is telling you where to put it in the camera tilted down. So this is normal. Wait, sorry. There we go. Man, it'd be helpful if I did that previous. I need to click next here. Sorry. Gigapixel, here I go. Okay, so your chosen subject is here in your normal frame. And so now you need to move that subject all the way to here. So we're going to tilt up, let me do this. We're going to tilt our camera up, which is down, it's reversed. So we're going to click it a bunch, and it's hard to see, but it's literally moving the camera. Well, really, he's in the way. It's moving the camera up. So we move it until the chosen subject is in the same spot right here on the viewfinder, and then we're going to go the opposite direction, all the way down. Then we're going to go left and right. When we're done, this will automatically, let's see. Okay, we got that one. Let's do next. Okay, so now we're going to do the opposite. Let me do it real quick, because basically when you're moving it and you're trying to get that object that you've chosen, so like if you're looking off into a city, find a building, find a window, and put that window in the spot. So now I've got this pointed down, we're going to go next, and now we're going to pan left and right. So we're trying to move it to where it's in its spot, next, and then we're moving it to the right, and then next. Now, when you complete your gigapixel calibration, it now knows the field of view. It knows, based upon how far did I have to move for it to be, it knows what it is. So now you can set up your gigapixel configuration. So down here, there's a lot to it. And for whatever reason, it is oddly overlapping on here. So I don't, must be something to do with my font on here. So you definitely want an overlap. And usually what I would tell people is overlap 50%. So your photos, you have a lot that you can then merge. Because when you take this into Photoshop, it can do this for you automatically. It knows how to do this. So you can, see, I've already configured some of this. So you can set up your row overlap. Let's see, wait, sorry, cancel. And then we do our rows, which we can't see. This is so weird. There we go. Full screen it. So we have total rows and total columns. Now we can go in and start. Where is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? We do. Man. I'm missing a step. I'm missing a step. I don't use this that often. Where's the step? We already did the setup. What am I missing? What? Let's see here. Use fine control, reverse orientation. That's fine. Let's cancel. We don't need to do that. So I need to tilt. Oh, I need to. Okay. Where am I? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh man. Oh, I'm missing a step. There's a step. There's setup gigapixel advanced exposures. I can't change it. I can't change it because something is not set. Oh boy. That'll teach me. I will most likely, well, I'll remember it in like 10 minutes. But you're going to get a slide that you can adjust, and it's not this one. And it'll let you tell it how many rows for how many pictures. Why is it not? Let's just try one more time. Okay, so next. So let's see, my current subject is, all right, we're going to tilt up. Let's see, we're going to, what are we doing? We need to, it's doing it. What is it doing? Choose any subject. Oh, I got to hit next. Yes, of course. There we go. I need to tilt up, though. Really slowly. Okay. Next. All right, cancel that. Okay. I will get back to you on this because I showed someone how to do this like 3 months ago, and I haven't used it since, and I forgot. There's like one little thing I'm missing. But yeah. So that. Let's see. Go in here. Motor settings is the same thing as down here. So when you're going into motor settings, it's the same as just right-clicking on your motors down here. Yeah, and so the bump button, remember on, is right down here, you can see these bumps. So this is a single bump, and that's the big bump. You can define how much adjustment it actually does. So you can make it go 10 on the big bump if you want. Close that. What else was there? Let's see. Rediscover, no. Sort multi-lapse settings, that we've already been through that. Dropbox. It will save your moves in live motion. You can create all of, oops, I can't see because of my, up here, there's multiple moves here. It will save these. So when you come back in, you can have those. You can also use them as reference. So I have several that I've used for reference. Let me exit out of here real fast and go into the release version of, this is the older version of kOS. So in here, give it a second, load, and it, oh, because I renamed it. I had one in here. I was going to, so it saves them in somewhere in my documents. It's very nice. Okay, I think I covered most everything. There is analog mode, which basically allows you to just move them. You're not really going from point A to point B. There's also chaos in. Come on back here. My motion. Go back, close. Oops. Nice. Chaos, beta. So in 6, 7, there we go. In iPad version, there is a, it's basically like you can, it's kind of a live just movement mode. So you can move things around however you want. You can perform everything manually, but it's really only on the iPad version, and that is built into that one. It takes a little bit. It's not hooked up, unfortunately. My iPad is not hooked up to the PC, but you could configure your axis in here, and then you could perform it similarly. You also in Chaos, you can have the game controller down here. You can hook up, which I did not grab, but it's in the other room. You can configure all of every single button on the game controller. The PS through PS4 controllers, they work really well, and you could do that in Unreal. It's all over the place. Really easy to set stuff up that way if you so desire. Graph options, so you can zoom in on your graph should you want to get super funky with the cheese whiz. You could do that. I want to see, did I have, I felt like I had a version of, or an example of a chaos move for my 8-axis. Where is it? Oh boy, I take a lot of pictures. Where is it? I literally should just rename it spaghetti. Oh, I favorited it, didn't I? Right there. Okay. So here is an example of, that's a crazy move, but you can absolutely do this with Chaos. This is 8-axis. You can see down here all the axis that I had. I had roll, pan, tilt, focus, sun angle. Okay, so I don't know what this one was. So this one I had a massive light that I would swoop down across the set to do sun over time. And then we had boom pan, we had jib up and jib over. So you can see how these curves, they could get really wild, but it's all about, it's a dance, really. So if you look at these, this is actually not a great example, but it's pretty close. These are actually not, I won't show you these dots are actually not lined up. They're slightly off. And the reason is that you don't want all axis to move at the same time. And then they move it like this and move it like that. If you have them all moved like at the same time, then you introduce all that torque. Everything compounds, and it will create jerks. It's not the motion control itself. It is the fact that you're asking a lot of weight to all move instantaneously. So when you have these massive direction changes happening in your keyframes, stagger them so that it comes and it goes up and it moves and then it starts to curve just after it. It really, really helps get things through. Okay, I think I've covered everything. I definitely have gone 3 hours, which is honestly about an hour longer than I thought I was going to take, but I was probably having a little too much fun with Mr. Bill. What questions do you have? The stuff that I didn't explain. I can't answer the Unreal stuff because I honestly don't have the answers for that. Time-lapse, stop motion, and live motion are all the same performance. It's just how you perform it. You can have a delay in any of them. The gigapixel is pretty simple, and you really only need a X and Y. So you only need pan and tilt to do that. Do I recommend the fizz motors? It's a good question. Yes, I do, for a lot of different reasons. Autofocus is cool, but autofocus can't be programmed. So when I'm moving, say, from Mr. Bill to the dinosaur, if I'm on a telephoto, I may not want to reveal what the dinosaur is until I'm right on it. And I just kind of, so I'm focused in on his feet. It's not pointing at his feet. Maybe the telephoto lens is right going down his body into his feet. And you can see the dinosaur in the back, but you don't know what it is because it's not in focus. And then at the last second, zip, you can pull a focus pull. So you could program all of your focus and your zoom and your iris all built in. They're really handy. What I'd recommend is you get one and work from there. 3 is kind of it's a lot. I mean, when are you going to be doing a zoom, a focus, and an iris pull all at the same time? Not to say that you won't, but each axis that you add adds a level of complexity to your move. So that probably sounded wrong. It's adding, put it this way, X and Y, so pan and tilt, then that's like probably 50% of your moves. You added a slide. That takes you to maybe 75% of your moves. Now let's add a roll axis. The roll axis, you get to the point where you can actually, in so many of your moves, you could do the roll axis without the roll axis by using the tilt. Because there's so many times you're not doing a pan, a tilt, and a roll at the same time. So you have to think about that. When I did the Kessler roll music video, I was using the roll axis, and I love the roll axis. I do use it, but there were so many times that I would set up this really cool move, and then I would gut check myself, and I would look at it and go, actually, that is a really cool move, and I was using all the axis, but I actually could have set it up with without the roll axis because I wasn't using another axis. I was just using it for the sake of using it, not realizing it. So you have to be cognizant of that kind of stuff. So as you add in more and more axes, you're really getting down to this like tiny percentage. Like I have like the Frankenrig 2.2, and I don't use that on everything. I use it actually fairly rarely in commercial stuff because they don't necessarily need 8 axis. But you have it. You have the ability. The power blocks. Think of it. Couldn't think of it. These things are really slick because they're really good at doing the things that just didn't fit. Pan, tilt, great. Okay. But now I've got a pulley. Well, maybe you need a pulley, maybe you don't. Maybe you can attach an arm to this sticking out. and it goes and does something. Or put a little flat plate on here, have it level, and then you trigger somewhere in the middle. It goes beep, and dumps your Cheerios on top of Mr. Bill. You can do all of that with these various motors, and it's really about thinking outside the box and realizing that kOS can do it for you. There's so little that it can't do, and every time I ask for something, it eventually gets in there. It's quite nice. The moving all the points at a time. Oh, I love it. Especially if you start setting up your moves the way I do, which is start and finish and then fill it in. I promise on that on this move here, I was literally doing parts of it. I would start. I can't show you the cursor, but I would start at the and do like there's like 5 or 6 keyframes there. I would do those 5 or 6 keyframes. I would do the start and the end of the 5th one, and then start filling in the motion in between. And you can actually take a simple move and make it extremely complex by getting from start to finish and seeing how wild you can go in the interim. Okay, any other, all right, I'll start with one and most likely get to, I mean, they're really cool. The new ones are just fantastically small. They are tiny. I have version 2 and version 3, and these new ones are version 4, and they're really small. It is surprising how good they are. Any last questions? Anything anybody still has? I know it's getting late for some folks over on the other side of the ocean there, but I mean, feel free. Okay, good question here. Am I better off using PC over Mac for Unreal? So the question is valid up until right about now. Before, there was no question that you would use PC because Mac couldn't do it. Now Unreal is native for Apple Silicon, but it really needs the M3. And you got to keep in mind, Unreal stuff is not you just grab a laptop and you're using Unreal. You could. For time lapse, you definitely could. But for live motion or any kind of thing, you need, like Chris was saying, you need some processing power. And that's where like the 3080s, 3090s, the 4080s, those come in. So with M3, they actually built in ray tracing into the Apple Silicon. So now M3s natively can run Unreal fairly decent. What I believe is that the M3 Ultra in the studio is going to be an Unreal machine and do quite well. But the ultimate answer is it's typically PC, and it's not a Slack machine either. It needs basically, I mean, literally, Unreal is a gaming engine. So if you build a PC to game the best, it's going to work well for Unreal. So lots of GPU horsepower is where Unreal comes in. Any other questions before I jump off of this one? Because this has been a fun long one. Those of you who won, awesome. The first one, I think, who won it, that's actually a, let's see if I can, the winner of I think the first one actually got their new limited edition 20-year anniversary red quick receiver. So that is pretty awesome. if I don't say so myself. Timmy says, thanks, Scott and Chris and Eric for putting this together today. Yep. It's definitely something I wanted to do. Like, for instance, I'm going to go back and spend a lot more time on the gigapixel to make sure that I remember how it is. And there was something else that I left off, and I kept thinking about it and then forgetting it. But really, what I want to convey is don't be afraid of chaos. And 90% of problems that you'll have, not disconnects. I mean, that stuff, it just happens with, power goes bad in cameras, or power goes out, or, various things. It happens. They've been adding in all those protection features, which is really nice to like bring things back to life. It's great. But 90% of the problems that you'll face are going to be ramp or lack of ramp related. In other words, and I've explained this to several people, that when you start a move, let's say like Frankenrig, which is a giant 8-axis jib mounted on a shuttle dolly. It's a big 125-pound machine. It's 100 pounds. If I move really fast on the shuttle dolly at the beginning, that can have long-lasting effects all the way through the entire move. For instance, let's just say, you've got your jib here and it's on the dolly. It's got a lot of weight in the back and it's got a lot of weight in the front. So if I go and I hit it, it's going to do this number. That's just the nature of the beast. It's not, it's not a 6,000-pound sturdy, rigid beam. So if you hit it, it's going to do that. Same thing if I accelerate really fast with the shuttle dolly, what's going to happen is it's going to, in slow motion, it's going to do this. That vibration that you injected can last 30 seconds. So it goes down the line doing this number, and you're looking at your footage going, oh my God, this is horrible. The Kessler stuff's horrible. No, it's not. Kessler actually could do amazing. And they don't even support that, and it does it. What you do is you find those vibrations. So you start off, and you run it. Oh gosh, it's vibrating. Okay, fine. Now go in down there at the bottom and turn off the, click my winnings, down here, and you can enable or disable your axis. So go in to your big move and disable your pan and your tilt, and then run the move and see, does it jerk? It doesn't jerk? Oh, interesting. So it wasn't the start of it that was doing it. It happened to be this pan that you did, because you're tweaking. You're moving a lot of what was it, torsional vector, whatever it is. So you could generate it that way. So it's finding where it is, and then literally all you have to do, it's going in and clicking and just doing that. You moved it that much, and you took out that vibration. Because you got to think about stuff. Everything has a frequency. Everything. So you hit a desk, boom, boom, boom. It has a frequency. So if you alter how it hits, it changes the frequency. And that's what happens. So create a nice ramp, stagger your changes. If you're gonna take, you're moving this way and you're gonna go this way, slow down, and then you start coming back this way. But don't have it do this at the same time it's doing this, or don't have it start the move. So don't go like that. Do this, start and then start. That will do wonders of getting rid of vibrations, because you're injecting it all. You're doing it, you just don't know. And that's the the long and the short of it. And is what I've learned. And that giant spaghetti, I call it the spaghetti monster, of a move that I have, all of those little curves are just tweaked ever so slightly so that it doesn't cause a vibration or counteract, counteracting would be great, but it doesn't amplify one. It doesn't continue one. All of that. It's awesome. Can't wait to we're getting. My pleasure, Jacob. Thanks so much, Scott. Awesome as always. Super useful. Good night from London. Yep. Thank you all. So yeah, I hope this was super informative, and this will be out here for people to go back and review. There will be a full, very condensed, non-practical instruction. Well, there'll be some practical in there, but it'll be very, very condensed, chapterized tutorial that I'll be working on here very soon. And Chris will be working on Unreal stuff for you guys as well. So, yeah, I hope this was worth it for everybody. And I mean, if y'all want to become channel members, y'all can do that. You can definitely do that. It's super nice if you do. Kind of like our new channel member right here, Glass Nature Productions. Well, thank you, Sheila and David. Became channel members. Stoked. Yep, I love it. I mean, honestly, I love seeing what other people do with this stuff. And I know the whole staff at Kessler loves seeing this stuff. But I love what you come up with, because you might look at some commercial and go, I could do that. You do it. You make it yours. I look at yours. I go, I could do that. I make it mine. We all generate creativity from each other. So everyone keep on keeping on. Have a good time. And as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions. Goodbye, everyone.